This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain shocking revelations, violence, and sexual themes. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Delta Green role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is Call of the Wild. It was written by Sabin, who is also our handler. It is his submission for part of the 2023 Shotgun Scenario Contest, and this is a one-shot. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Shams?
It is June 27th, 2021, Sunday. All of your agents receive, maybe it's an encrypted message, or a man in a trench coat bumps into you on the street, delivering an envelope to you. But regardless, the message reads that you've been invited to a night at the opera. Please pick up your tickets from our location on 89 Sunshine Way in Everglades City at 8 p.m. tomorrow. So you still got like 28 hours until the rendezvous. Plenty of time to get there, no matter where you are in the U.S. For those not near Florida, plane tickets have been arranged in advance, as well as a rental car. Otherwise, you're being expected to drive. So we're going to go around the table here as an opportunity to describe and introduce your agents, as well as what excuses do you give to your Monday for the rest of the week responsibilities. So let's just go around the table and start with Bats.
Yeah, I'm Bats. I'm from the Rocky Mountain region. I served in the police force for about 10 years before I got promotion. Sideways movement, hard to tell. Just, I do some private investigating now. My family just accepts sometimes I gotta keep things confidential and be away for weeks, months, as long as it takes. So I wrap things up, tell them goodbye, and head off to Florida.
Yeah. What about the Fox?
Yeah, the Fox is a native Floridian. He's from North Florida. He works as a park ranger, doing interpretive work with the public, giving tours and whatnot. The excuse he gives is that another park in the state is short-staffed, and he's been reassigned for a temporary duty.
Okay, beautiful. Next up, we're going to go up to Agent Blank.
Right. Agent Blank, he works at the 1st Battalion, 23rd Marines out of Austin, Texas. He is basically does some special forces work, and so sometimes he gets calls at night, and so he can go to his superiors and say, I've been called up for a mission. I can't give you any information as it's top secret. Adios. See you in a week.
And off he goes. Go bag in tow. What about the Friendly?
I'm down here. I'm a native Floridian. I'm running tours. He's a big guy, burly guy, good old boy. And yeah, I'm assuming he's just waiting for you. He's got some beers, in the cooler.
Yeah, considering your profession, there's a good chance that you might be the closest to Everglades City and get there before anyone else.
No, it's possible that I'm not too far from there either.
That's true, depending on where your job has taken you, Flytrap.
I'm Agent Flytrap. I work for a company called Dominus Research. They are a biological development research facility. However, they are probably also a bit of a front for Delta Green. There's probably other agents that are in there, but I spend a lot of my time wading through the swamps and looking for and identifying new species of plants and animal and insect in the hopes of finding certain things that we can develop into, I don't know, weapons maybe, but so I'm there.
All right. So, for those that are flying in, the closest airport to Everglades City is Miami International Airport. Plane arrives in the early afternoon. You pick up your individual rental cars because your planes don't all arrive at the same time, and head west towards Everglades City, which is about an hour and a half drive through the swamps to reach. Getting out and stepping out of the nice, wonderful air conditioning of the airport, you feel that it's nice and crisp, almost 90 degrees outside with another wonderful 90% humidity. This is June in Florida. Not a good time. Heading onto the highway, you have to pass through a classic Sunshine State toll gate. Instead of income tax, Florida has these toll gates at the entrance to all of these highways, which you have to either cough up a few bucks for, or if you already have a sun pass, you can just go right through. After dealing with that, you head on to US Highway 41 West, going across the border of the northern region of the Everglades, that being Shark Valley, and straight through the swamps of Big Cypress National Preserve. Passing through Okeechobee and heading south on County Road 29, you arrive in Everglades City. It's really not much of a city, just a handful of streets and buildings on an island on the coast of Chokoloskee Bay. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a population of 400 and a total area of 1.2 square miles. The local economy is based on boating, fishing, airboat tours, hotels, and tropical restaurants, capitalizing on its location as a gateway to the Everglades and Chokoloskee Bay. And one by one, at different times throughout the day, you arrive. And before we cut ahead to when you guys assemble for the briefing, I'm going to say that those of you that were in Florida when you received the call would be aware of a news story that's been flaring up these last few days about extinct species of birds suddenly being found in the Everglades. So now we flash to the point where all of you, just before 8 p.m., are assembling at the address. It's on the western outskirts of Everglades City, well outside the official limits, and pulling up, a big sign reads, Jeb's Gator Farm. Give you an idea of just how small the whole thing is and where this little farm is. The farm is nothing but a lonely patch of land in the swamps consisting of 3 large enclosures, a farmhouse, and numerous other small buildings. The alligator enclosures are swampy lakes entirely blocked off by sturdy metal pens, and each one contains several dozen gators. The gate is unlocked, and you can see from outside that just off the road inside the property, there's this small office building with the light on, and an ancient, withered-looking man in a suit with a cane is leaning against the building, smoking a cigarette.
Well, there are some gators. Seen a lot of them.
Go up to the individual smoking a cigarette and ask for, "Hey, buddy, you got an extra one for me?"
Yeah, as long as you're here for your tickets.
Yeah, I'm here for the opera.
Indeed. Here. And he hands you a cigarette. You can smoke inside, but I'm done. And he puts his cigarette on the ground and just stamps it out. Going inside, office is just simple and bland, with an appropriate amount of chairs set up. You can call me Agent Kilroy. All of you sit down. You've been summoned here because over the last 7 days, 3 different species of thought extinct birds have suddenly appeared, coming out of the Everglades. ivory-billed woodpeckers, some old like penguin-like bird called a great auk,
Really?
and a couple days ago, some bird from Hawaii. I might be butchering the name here, but I think it's pronounced the Hawaii oo. Naturally, this has drawn the attention of environmentalists and scientists who are now flocking to the park. No pun intended. The media has caught on as well. They're calling it some kind of miracle. What I'm asking all of you to do is determine if there's any unnatural activity involved with the sudden return of these birds. If there is something unnatural, you know what to do. Get rid of it. I have uniforms, badges, and some equipment to help you pose as being employees from the Fish and Wildlife Service sent in to investigate this miraculous reappearance. And tomorrow morning, you see the Gulf Coast Visitor Center here in town apparently has 2 captive specimens. The chief ranger, Antonio Nunez, is expecting all of you tomorrow morning.
Is this like a lot of birds? I mean, what kind of numbers are we talking about?
He like gets out a laptop and starts typing in, there's some news stories here, hold on, and he like shows a YouTube video, and you can see that it's a report that's going on. Out of nowhere, birds have suddenly started reappearing within the Everglades. The ivory-billed woodpecker, long thought to be extinct but not officially declared extinct due to conflicting reports of their sightings, is now being seen in flocks. And the video shows like a whole large amount of these birds just like flying over the swamps and the like. Not only this, but great auks have appeared, and it cuts to seeing these auks. And auks, they look very similar to penguins, though in reality they're actually closer relatives to muffins, or not muffins, puffins.
Puffins.
Well, they are in the Pinguineus. They're in the Pinguineus family, so
yes. And you could see some of them squawking it along the coast. And then he brings up another video, and this video is, he says, they haven't been able to actually see and capture any Kauai o'os, but they've heard its cry. And its cry is, well, you just have to hear it.
wow, it's really pretty.
Yes.
Yes. They were apparently very vocal birds, and we've had multiple recordings that via our own intelligence units to be able to determine it's not audio that's being engineered as a hoax. It's legit.
That's like dun 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. Very strange. Moho nobilis.
So, all right, I understand why doctor on vacation here has to be assembled. I mean, birds, are we expecting trouble? I'm used to
Listen,
roughing up suspects, bringing them
if
in.
this was just ivory-billed woodpeckers, which aren't even officially declared extinct and have a historical range in the southeastern U.S., that wouldn't be that weird. But great auks have been extinct since like, I don't know, like the 1800s or something. And they're certainly not supposed to live in the Everglades. Mm-hmm. And at least from what little cursory research I could do, the Kauai o'o not only didn't live in the continental U.S., it lived on a very specific island in Hawaii.
So, yeah, and the fact that they all show up at the same time is very strange.
Within the course of just days apart from each other.
Now, my guess is if something really is up, something extra dimensional is up, then we might see other species suddenly show up as well.
Yeah, that's it. This is preventative measures. While we could see something clearly weird is going on, We're sending you in to make sure it's good. I don't know. Maybe it is. Then this is actually a genuine miracle. But I've been in the group long enough to know that shit like that doesn't happen.
No, doesn't seem likely.
Yeah.
So
all right.
if it's
just,
nothing, then congratulations. We've wasted our time, and wasting your time to determine something isn't unnatural is time well spent.
So are we
So you get
going to go out into the Everglades looking for them, or are we just going to go investigate what's already been? You said there's a couple of species that have been captured.
I don't know what they have captured, but apparently at the visitor center, they've got a couple captives for you guys to examine. They're expecting you. As for the source, I mean, just from reports I've been seeing, they've been sighted primarily in the Everglades. So, I mean, yes, you're going to have to eventually search. Speaking of, I have some equipment for all of you. And he goes and opens some nearby boxes. He produces U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service uniforms, all just exactly in your each individual sizes. Badges, a medium pistol for each of you, and two 12-gauge pump shotguns and a scoped 30-06 rifle, as well as some ammunition. And yeah, eventually you're going to need to traverse the swamps and sea channels. I've got a decent motorboat you could use. It's tied up in a boathouse on the far eastern edge of the property. And he slides a set of keys over the table.
Well, I guess I'm here for that.
Yes, indeed.
So, yeah, it's damn peculiar, but man, it's really good for the tourism.
It is.
Birds go.
I mean, listen, I like birds. I would be thrilled to find out that this is something not unnatural that we can just leave alone and let happen. But
that's not necessarily always the case, because I mean, what if it turns out to be an invasive species?
The Everglades are filled with those.
Yeah,
I mean, Christ,
pythons.
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 Those pythons are catastrophic in the damage they do. They eat panthers. True. They eat alligator eggs. Give them 20 years, those pythons are going to have killed just about everything in the Everglades.
We've got a lot of invasive plant species as well. Water hyacinth and yep.
Well, when did these the oxen, specifically this nice songbird, when did they supposedly go extinct? I mean, is this a long time ago, or is
apparently? And he gets out. He flips the key back to him and does some quick googling. According to Wikipedia, the Kauai Oo was last recorded in 1987. The great ox, it was 1840 something. And the ivory-billed woodpeckers aren't actually officially declared extinct as critically endangered, but there hasn't been a reliable sighting in the United States since 1944.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bird watchers.
Okay.
It would make the news if they saw one.
So we got two from the 20th century and one from the 19th century then. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently the great ox were hunted.
Even great ox, that was only 180 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
But
as long as we don't go back a couple million years, I think we'll be fine.
We did a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, if dinosaurs start coming out of the Everglades, then we're in for some serious OPSEC risks.
We already have dinosaurs. They're called, most of the birds are dinosaurs. They're just not labeled that way anymore.
Yeah, we know Jurassic Park isn't real.
Oh, I didn't say that.
I don't know, fellas. I'm up for a good safari.
It sounds good.
Get it.
Where are the samples? That's where we want to go first, I think.
The Gulf Coast Visitor Center. It's here in the Everglades City.
If I have the opportunity to get on the internet, I'm going to look up what information I have on these particular birds so that I can actually identify them.
Okay.
I can't exactly go look at a living species in order to identify them. So
with that in mind,
the woodpecker is Camphophilus principalis, and I mean, I've seen other members of that family, so it's a woodpecker.
So, cursory information into the ivory-billed woodpecker, possibly extinct bird native to the dense swampland and hardwood coniferous forests of the southeastern U.S. and also Cuba. Habitat destruction and hunting have reduced populations so thoroughly that the species is listed by the International Union for Conservation of Nature on its red list as critically endangered, and by the American Birding Association as quote unquote definitely or probably extinct. It was the largest woodpecker in the US, typically 19 to 21 inches long with a wingspan of about 30 inches.
Yeah.
The last university accepted sighting of an American ivory-billed woodpecker occurred in Louisiana in 1944. Sporadic reports of sightings and other evidence of the persistence of the species have continued since then. Until now, of course. The Everglades are within its historical geographic distribution.
Yeah. Very interesting.
The great auk was a species of flightless coastal bird, a larger relative of the puffin. It is not closely related to the southern hemisphere birds now known as penguins, which were discovered after the great auk by Europeans, and so named penguins by sailors because of their physical resemblance to the great auk. They were like the original penguins, at least in terms of like what people called them. Oh, that's a penguin. It bred on rocky, remote islands with easy access to the ocean and a plentiful food supply, a rarity in nature that provided only a few breeding sites for the great auks. When not breeding, they spent their time foraging in the waters of the North Atlantic, ranging as far south as northern Spain and along the coastlines of Canada, Greenland, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, Norway, Ireland, and Great Britain. The bird was 30 to 33 inches tall and weighed roughly 11 pounds, making it the largest auk to survive to the modern era. Early European explorers to the Americas used the great auk as a convenient food source or as fishing bait, reducing its numbers.
Yep.
The bird's down was in high demand in Europe, a factor that largely eliminated European populations by the mid-1500s. Scientists soon began to realize that the great auk was disappearing, and it became the beneficiary of many early environmental laws, but these proved ineffectual. Its growing rarity increased interest from European museums and private collectors in obtaining skins and eggs of the bird. On the 3rd of June, 1844, the last two confirmed specimens were killed in Elde off the coast of Iceland, ending the last known breeding attempt. Later reports of roaming individuals seen or caught are unconfirmed. A record of one great auk in 1852 is considered by some to be the last sighting of a member of the species. And though the auk was widespread along coasts close to the Atlantic Ocean, only the northern Atlantic coast of Florida was within its foraging distribution. They never inhabited the Everglades.
Talking humans.
And finally, the Kauai oo was the last surviving member of the moho genus within the Mohoidae family of birds from the islands of Hawaii. The entire family is now extinct. The bird was endemic to the island of Kauai. It was common in the subtropical forests of the island until the earliest 20th century, when its decline began. It was last seen in 1985 and last heard in 1987. After failed expeditions in 1989 and Hurricane Iniki in 1992, the species was declared extinct by the IUCN in 2000. The causes of its extinction include the introduction of invasive predators and habitat destruction. This bird was among the... Sorry, what were you going to say?
I just said cats and snakes.
Oh, yeah. It's not just cats and snakes. Rats and pigs were also a big problem.
Rats and pigs.
This bird was among the smallest of the Hawaiian OOs, if not the smallest species, with just over 8 inches in length from tail to beak. It was a very vocal bird, making hollow, erratic, flute-like calls, and both the males and females were known to sing. It was the last surviving member of the Mohoidae, which had originated over 15 to 20 million years previously during the Miocene, with the Kauai-o'o's declaration of extinction in 2000, marking the only extinction of an entire avian family in over 500 years. Obviously, the bird was not native to the Everglades. It lived exclusively on the island of Kauai, the fourth largest of the Hawaiian Islands.
Let's go take a look.
With that information in tow, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here to assume that you guys go down to the boathouse. Harpo finds it, sees it's within good shape. It could be sailed down the winding canal on the western edge of Everglades City out to Chokoloskee Bay, where you could dock it at the marina, or you could just leave it here and come back for it later. Regardless, you do what you decide to do, and there's plenty of motels here in town you guys can set up a base in. This place clearly gets all of its income from tourism, so not hard to find.
Okay. Well, as a scientist, I just barge in if we get there.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys specifically want to do tonight before you have the visitor center meeting tomorrow morning?
Just research the three birds.
And that's what we've already covered. That's all.
Yeah.
All you're
I want to get some sleep.
I'm going to do some general research to find out if there was any sort of person in the area who is particularly interested in birds and the protection of birds. Maybe somebody who's a little bit on the militant side of things.
Okay, that's really interesting. I think the most fitting skill for looking and trying to do research for anyone in the area for that would probably be bureaucracy, although I can see an argument for search.
Okay.
So whichever one of those two is better.
Mine's exactly the same. I've got 50 in each. So.
Okay.
And I rolled a 19.
Okay. We're going to say that this research isn't quick and you don't come across this until like 1 a.m. because you've just been doing some digging. You've got time to kill. Maybe you're not particularly sleepy. You know, you got here earlier compared to everyone else. Maybe you took a nap in midday and now you're just having trouble wiring down. But doing enough scrolling through social media and employment records, you would note that apparently the former chief ranger of the Gulf Coast in the Everglades was an avid bird conservationist and is well known locally for just his knowledge of birds and also being a bit antisocial and a whack job. He lives, you got a pretty good role at putting some time into it. You'd say that apparently he lives in a local trailer park called Fisherman's Cove. He's retired.
Okay.
And his name is Theodore Dixon. By the time you find that, everyone else is asleep.
Before I go to sleep, because we're in Delta Green, I want to check any astrological and or astronomical things that have gone in the last. Did you say they found these 3 days ago?
So from what you spent some time researching the birds, you'd be able to see that the news reports of the Kauai-o'o have been coming in the last 2 days, the auks over the last 4, and the woodpeckers for like the last 6.
Okay. So full moon, new moon.
We
did just have the summer solstice a week or so ago.
That was pretty recent. So
and any
the first reports of the prime full moon was just on the 24th.
Yeah.
And that would have been around the time that the auks were sighted. But that's all the inferences.
They could have been here for a month before anybody sighted them. So just keeping that all in my, Might be
Something to
nothing.
keep in mind.
Because
At least it wasn't a new moon, right?
Delta Green. Yeah, well.
I'd like to spend just a little bit of time maybe meeting up with some local survivalists to get a little bit of a lay of the land. So I've got some idea of things to watch out for in this particular area of the Everglades.
So Everglades City provides a gateway both into the Everglades proper and the Gulf Coast, which is open ocean that throughout it has the 10,000 islands, which is a network of like mangrove island mazes that you need a boat to traverse. There's nothing particularly unique to the dangers of the area other than like, obviously, if you want to go out into the Gulf Coast, you're going to need a boat. If you go into the Everglades proper, I mean, this time of year, you've got mosquitoes to worry about. It's hotter here in Everglades City than it was over in Miami. We're dealing with consistent temperatures of a high of in the early 90s with that really high humidity as well. And because it's the wet season right now, rain and sudden storms are something you have to worry about. But, you've got the alligators and crocodiles, which the Everglades is unique in that it's the only natural environment in the world where both alligators and crocodiles intersect in their habitats. You've got those damn pythons. Off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of any other notable dangers.
Okay. So there's something to kind of brief the rest of the people on for the next day when we go out, just so they have an idea of what to kind of expect to make sure we got some rain gear.
Yeah, that's a big thing because Florida, I mean, my dad would tell me these stories about how weird rainstorms around here can be and the way they come and go and how limited they are, that it wouldn't be that uncommon for him to like his backyard, there'd be drizzling and raining. His front yard, there wouldn't be. So that's the kind of weather you're dealing with.
You also want to bring some DEET.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you want malaria.
Yeah. And if you want to, actually the Gulf Coast proper, since out there it's so much boating and open ocean that even in the mangrove forests there are not nearly as many mosquitoes as there are in the swamps, the Everglades.
Well, yeah, it's also salt water in the, and fresh water.
So that's because mosquitoes this time of year are such a big threat. That would be something else to note is that the Gulf Coast is not mosquito heavy.
Mostly morning and evening. But
Yeah, I'm going to take a good look at the boat and get it prepped. Maybe any supplies we might need. I'm kind of
the boat
local,
has a basic name. We'll just call it the Victory. And the supplies, I mean, though it's got a full gas tank, your first assumption is like, well, probably smart to buy more gas. So I'll hand wave it. No need to roll expense checks. And just say you have gas. So that way, if you get low on gas, you can refuel the gas. To get the boat itself is able to hold, it's got a small cover tarp you can put over top of it. And it can hold probably 6, 7, maybe 8 people. I posted a picture in the chat giving you a sense of like the scale of this little motorboat. It's not shitty. It's nice. It's just small.
Yeah, I'm just going to prep it, see if there's anything else I need.
Nope, it's all good.
Beer and
got to get those
water
6 packs.
and some food. And yeah.
Make a stop by the local Publix in town.
Oh, yeah. I'm fairly local to this area, so I'm just going to go, hit my favorite bar and relax.
Also, because now you guys know where the visitor center is, as well as where Ted lives, I'm going to post another map that has those locations marked. Okay. Are we now fine with just cutting ahead to the visitor center in the morning? All right. Located on the southern end of Everglades City, the humble visitor center serves as the gateway for exploring the 10,000 islands, the maze of mangrove islands that you need a boat to access. This visitor center is actually situated in a trailer, and I have a fun little picture of it. The reason why it is in a trailer is because a hurricane, Irma, it came in through in September of 2017 and destroyed the original visitor center. Another fun fact is that this temporary trailer visitor station will be destroyed by Hurricane Ian in 2022. As of right now, in late 2023, there has not been an attempt to make another Gulf Coast Visitor Center.
They should have just left it on the wheels and then driven it away if the hurricane's coming and brought it back afterwards.
It's one of those trailers
water.
that's like put into the ground. So like they're not, I mean, you still can move them. It's just not as easy. Going inside, there are a fair amount of like randos here talking to rangers because they offer paddle boat tours off into the Gulf Coast from here. People also seek to get permits to go on like the 99-mile wilderness waterway east and through the Everglades proper. But perking up when you come in is an aged Hispanic man. You can very clearly see on his ranger uniform, on his just below his shoulder, it says Nunez. And it's just saying, and because presumably you're all dressed in your U.S. Fish and Wildlife uniforms, he's just immediately like, oh, yes, you must be the team that they sent from the Fish and Wildlife Service.
Indeed, we are. I'd like to see the Auk.
Yes. Here. Let's talk where there's a little bit of privacy, and he escorts you to one of the more back rooms. In this door, there is also a door that leads outside the back of the trailer into the back lot. Yeah, so through this door here in that trailer out there, he points to a smaller trailer. That's where we've got the specimens. But they've been a bit agitated. They're very loud and squawking. So if we want to, while we're still talking here, we'd have much more peace and quiet if we just discuss here in my office. But before we start discussing all of these birds, I could just show them to you first.
I'd like to see them first. What are you feeding them?
I've been looking up their diets, and he says like whatever like Wikipedia would say that they ate. Yeah, it's very strange. And he opens the door and starts escorting you to this smaller trailer. These birds just started appearing this last Monday, and from now and Tuesday morning, that was 8 days ago. First it was those woodpeckers, then the great auks a couple days later, and finally the Kauai just this last Saturday. We haven't caught a Kauai yet. We've got a specimen here of one of the woodpeckers and an auk. But they've been a bit more bold and belligerent. And at that point, he opens the door to this smaller trailer out back. And inside, it immediately has that distinct bird smell. And there's a small mini lab of medical equipment set up, as well as 2 barred metal cages. One of them contains an ivory-billed woodpecker, which is flitting around and pecking at the bars, and an auk, which is like running around in circles inside and squawking angrily. Yeah, they're extra out there today. With a good biology score, Flytrap, as soon as you see these things, you can verify that, like, oh yeah, that looks exactly like the species in question.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a 60. So, do you want me to roll?
No, your score's good enough to tell that, like, just from seeing them, it's enough to say that, yep, all the visual details add up. They haven't misidentified them.
So I am going to take samples of their excretions. Trying to go for the oldest looking excrement.
The oldest looking excrement is definitely in the woodpecker's cage.
Well, I mean, in each one of them.
Okay.
I want to see what was in their stomach
before they got
before they were captured and
So-
fed whatever this guy's feeding them.
As you approach the woodpecker's cage,
Mhm.
Nunez says, "Be very careful when handling them. They've been particularly agitated recently, and as you get closer, the woodpecker like flies up to the bars of the cage facing you and starts like pecking on the bars."
Okay. I'll try to make maybe I know some bird calls. I'll try to calm them down with
No matter what bird cards you do, it's not changing anything. In fact, if anything, now the auk is noticing you, and it's almost like wedging itself through the cage, and its beak out is snapping as it gets through. Because you've got close fly trap as you're trying to gather these specimens. I want you to make me an alertness roll.
Oh, and I got a 62 out of 35. Yeah, no.
Okay. Yeah, these birds are agitated by you as you get closer. If you want to try and get some of those specimens, you're going to have to be quick.
Well,
if you don't want to
and,
avoid them.
I'll both be quick and not really be concerned about getting pecked. If I get pecked, I get pecked. I've got
Okay.
peck
The
marks and
auk
scratch
is
marks all
slow
over
enough
me.
that you'd be able to snatch.
Oh, wait,
literally
can't I pull the pan out of the bottom of whatever they're in? Are they in bird cages?
No, these cages are not specifically designed for birds. These were
okay.
clearly just like large cages they had standing around, and they just threw the birds in.
Well, then, despite the fact that it's probably not going to be happy for the bird, I will try with at least for the auk that when he makes a move, I'll try to grab his bill and hold it while I scrape some of the poop.
Okay. If you're doing that, I actually want you to do an unarmed combat roll,
Okay.
which it's default 40%.
Where is my unarmed combat?
Because
I see it. It's 40, yeah.
these birds are aggressive.
I got a 15 out of 40. Regular pass then.
15 out of 40.
I'm used to dealing with animals and stuff. So.
I need to check what these birds' melee attack is. Unfortunately, I have under my PEC score, I rolled a 21, which is higher than your score. So
Okay.
though you do get the shit samples you want throughout the process, the auk manages to spear your hand, and you take 1 damage.
Okay. Yeah, I don't react much.
And then Nunez is just like, Jesus Christ! I told you, there's these birds that they're real nasty.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just a flesh wound. Barely anything.
The whole
If someone wants to try and first aid that, they can.
Or it doesn't matter.
Just let
Only one person can roll first aid.
I have a 4.
I mean, if you can. It's I only say that because you are missing a hit point, and most people, upon getting bit by a bird, will be like, let's disinfect this and put a Band-Aid on it.
Well, I'd be that too, but I'm not, like I said, I'm just not that scared.
So who wants to do the first aid roll?
Just so you know, my family raised birds when I was a kid, so I'm just like not fazed by birds at all. I've been literally bitten so many times. But yeah, got to disinfect it. There they are.
Yeah, I can roll first aid. I'll roll first aid.
That's nothing. Just rinse it out.
Maybe I should let Harpo roll first aid. That's a 98.
Oh,
hey, it's not a fumble.
That's just
good.
A fail.
But it's enough that you do disinfect the wound and put a Band-Aid, obviously, but Flytrap doesn't get that 1 point of hit points back.
Yeah.
A good night's sleep will get that back, though.
Yeah. So I've got my samples. If I've brought my equipment with me, I if there's a place I can set up makeshift, my what's it called, microscope and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, you can start getting to
We don't
work
have
on that.
We don't have to do it here where it's less noisy. We can
Okay.
in his office.
What is the immediate plans after the sample is gathered? You want to try and go somewhere less noisy, and analyze it. You've got Nunez with you. What are you guys doing?
These
I'd like to talk to Nunez about where the animals were actually captured at. If it's the kind of the same area or if they were in different places, I'd like to have those marked out on the map.
Yeah, yeah. Here, if we can get out here, I've got some copies of maps back in the visitor center here, and you go back to his office, and he marks some locations. So far, pretty much these birds were captured, and the sightings were as well, all in the 10,000 islands so far. I mean, naturally, because they fly around, we've been seeing some more seeping into the other parts of the Everglades, but that's where sightings have primarily been. It's funny. The only reason that I even recognized the call of the Kauai when I heard it was just because the former chief ranger here, old Ted Dixon, he was an avid bird conservationist and often lamented their extinction. And he'd tell me about all kinds of obscure exotic birds, and the Kauai was one of them. One funny day, you hear about I hear their call again, and I'm like, wait a second, isn't that? I imagine he must be thrilled
It's so
about
bizarre compared to other birds that we have around here.
when he says that he must be thrilled. I want everyone to do human intelligence rolls.
Oh,
no.
Oh,
but
that's a
I got
success.
10 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, since it starts by 10%, everyone can try to roll.
Yeah, 12 out of 40.
Awesome. So those could succeed. Note an interesting bit in that when Nunez is talking about Ted and he must be excited or something, there's something shifty about his body language. And it's like his body language and what he's saying don't line up, like a cognitive dissonance of some kind. But at the same time, he meant what he said. So he's not necessarily holding back anything.
Is there any is there where these specimens were found? Is it in any relationship or nearby the I think the guys at the Fisherman's Cove, if I'm not mistaken, is it anywhere near that area?
What? Fisherman's Cove? That's where Ted lives. No, nowhere near there. We've seen a few woodpeckers come up to the coast here in Everglades City, but outside of that, it seems that the birds have been primarily sticking to the park and wilderness.
With the aggressive nature of these birds, have you had any reports of people being attacked?
No, though while I was on patrol just a few days ago, I could have. I mean, it was strange, but I saw a flock of the woodpeckers all pecking on a python.
Interesting.
So there's a whole flock of them that's out there then.
Oh yeah, the woodpeckers, especially when they've been seen flying around, are in flocks.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've got everyone back, so we can resume as you were speaking to Nunez, I believe. Though in the meantime, while everyone else is speaking to Nunez, Flytrap, yes, you are looking at their droppings and the like.
Yes,
You
I'm
do
looking
see
to
that
see if
their diet is normal. That like it's it seems like both what you'd understand about the birds' diets from Wikipedia knowledge, as well as knowledge of plants in the Everglades. That adds up. But I
so
want you to give me a biology roll to see if you notice something else with this. Actually, No. Let's see what this roll is.
Okay, so I passed my biology roll, but it's a regular
Okay.
pass.
That's all you need. So what's concerning is that while you're looking at it, you're doing through it, and the way that this excrement is that it's like is also evidence that it's almost similar to there are characteristics of the poop similar to mammal poop. And not only that, there's this point in there where you see evidence of like it looks almost there's a scorpion tail lodged in the middle of and it's attached to a small random tumorous looking piece of flesh.
So, I mean, you're saying that they're eating insects.
Yes. Well, the thing is
sorry,
that within the shit
insects.
there is that evidence, but within the shit itself, there is like a tumor with a scorpion tail sticking out of it.
That's very strange.
Very strange.
Is this the auk? I mean, they're big enough to eat scorpions. Weird. But I'm not seeing anything that wouldn't be native to the area. So they weren't brought in from some exotic place to here.
Not that you can see. No.
And there's enough to indicate that they have been here at least for a week or two, based on what's in there.
Yeah. Nunez said that the woodpeckers were first initially sighted on the 21st, which was 8 days ago.
Right. Well, that's even weirder because then they weren't.
The biggest concerning thing about that scorpion tail, though, is it's not just a scorpion. It doesn't even look like it's actually been digested. It's just a scorpion tail attached to like a cancerous mass, and it's just in the shit.
I wonder if it wasn't in the shit, but it was on the body. I don't know. I'd like to examine the birds, but at this point, let's let the birds try to calm down. It'd be easier to examine a dead one, but I don't want to kill something that science. So all my ideas are inconclusive, and I'll go back and join everybody else.
Nunez says the birds, they weren't initially this aggressive, but over these last couple days, they've really been flaring up. We did some blood work on them 2 days ago, and the results came back healthy and fine. And he could show you guys the reports.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
These reports taken 2 days ago show no health issues in the birds. It's honestly a bit miraculous to see these birds appearing. I mean, the woodpeckers aren't that far-fetched, but an auk? Those never lived on this coast.
Mr. Munoz, would you mind giving us some time to chat with each other privately?
Oh yeah, by all means. If you guys need me, I'll just be out by the front desk, and he just leaves you in his office. With the previous successes from some of you on human intelligence in this guy, he's completely trusting of you guys, and there's no hint of suspicion whatsoever.
So I haven't really come to conclusions, but these animals have definitely been here for a while. The contents of their stool is definitely in line with the plants and the flora and fauna around the area. There's some strange, almost cancerous or tumorous masses in here, and some arthropod scorpion bits that don't look like they've been digested. Maybe the animal is diseased. I don't know. He says everything's normal, but it don't make no sense. It's almost as if these animals came out of a different period of time or were somehow brought here. But I'd say they've probably been here for a month. They weren't brought from some exotic location, some collector who's kept them secret and safe. All the biology, the biological material is native. So I'm really confused. How did they get here? Where did they come from?
Well, did you slice open that cancerous mass?
No, not really. But I mean, I can do that. Can see what it is. But he keeps talking about the fellow who's an enthusiast, and in our line of investigation.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Bats and I should go pay him a visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys should know that I'm not much more than a bodyguard for the people that are actually going to figure this out. But yeah, birds. It's we're heading out into the swamp sooner or later, aren't we?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, I think you and I might be able to scare a little information out of this former glorified ranger.
Sure.
Okay.
Now he's definitely up to something. And, maybe his intentions are good, but maybe on the other hand, he's been using some really nasty tricks to bring this about. I don't know what. Genetic engineering, could that be part of it? Could it be, like you mentioned, Jurassic Park? Could he have found the DNA and somehow be...
Well, yeah, speaking of parks, yeah, Fox, you're good with animals, right? You should probably come with us to actually get the information.
Yeah, I'm happy to tag along and talk to this guy. He seems interesting. I did read a little bit about him last night. So if he's not involved, he may actually be able to point us in a good direction.
Yeah. Well, I'm just concerned if Flytrap's their hypothesis is right about these animals being out of time, what sort of things he might have gotten into to bring them to the present.
That's true. I'm just a little, I find it odd that their behavior is so violent in these cages.
Well,
I mean,
they're animals outside of their natural habitat.
Oh, that guy said they were ganging up on a python, right? They're clearly aggressive.
Yeah. I mean, that's not normal woodpecker behavior, is it, Flytrap?
I've never seen a bird kill a snake.
No.
Yeah, woodpeckers are not supposed to be pecking at pythons.
Woodpeckers are very skittish creatures. That's why it's been hard to identify whether they've gone extinct or not, because you're not very likely to see one. The great pileated woodpecker is supposed to be extinct, and there have been some recent sightings. It's one of the largest. It's like this pecker. It's a big one. But it's because they're afraid of people. They don't urbanize. They're not like foxes and possums and things that move right into urban neighborhoods. They avoid them like the plague. The auk is the biggest one. That's the weird one, because people would have seen that. People would have definitely seen great auks. They're coastal. People in their boats would have seen these big penguin-like birds.
Yeah, I mean, you keep describing them as penguins. Can they fly?
Actually, I don't know. I think they might be flightless.
No way. They are flightless.
Like we read, the penguin, their scientific name is Penguinus imperiensis. And it's the penguins that are in the South Pole were named after them because they kind of look the same. But obviously, these are more tropical, subtropical, and penguins are Arctic. But they're big fat birds, so people ate them. and use them for fish bait.
Historically in their range, there were sightings of them throughout all along the Atlantic coast, even to parts that in northern Florida along that was within their foraging distribution. But here on the west coast, the Gulf of Mexico with the Everglades, no, never.
Probably too warm, but yeah. Yeah, really weird. I mean, that's cool. They're back, but I hope they eat all the pythons.
Well, I don't want to get eaten by them. I'm real worried that we get out there and we get a flock on us.
They're not. They don't have teeth. They have bills. The most they can do is pinch you.
Well, and we got shotguns. I'll bring some bird shot.
Yeah.
I would be more afraid of parrots because parrots have a snaggle on the end of that.
I'm worried about when you got 100 on you. Shotgun's nice, but they can.
This place is hell. I'm
all
aware
seen
this
Hitchcock.
might as well be in the Amazon.
Yeah.
Well, me and my nephew watched the Hitchcock, the birds, and he said he could handle it all with a tennis racket.
I've seen a lot of strange things in this swamp, but this is pretty odd.
Gators, snakes, I'm more worried about them, and as long as we don't see bigger birds, there are a few extinct larger birds that you talk about, velociraptors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my concern. If this is a time issue, time distortion, and we get something like that coming through.
I bet you it's biology. I bet he's been screwing around and breeding. That's dangerous too. And reintroducing a species that could. We don't know anything about them.
Yeah, but that's normal science type of stuff that you see all the time. People are discovering and dealing with DNA from long extinct this, that, or the other thing.
I mean, we brought condors back, so.
Yeah, but we should probably give the Dixon fellow a visit.
Yeah, I would like to go with you.
Okay, if you're doing it, then do we just want to say that you're all heading there right now? And then just like, if you want to examine the birds, come back here? Or
are we going to want to capture any of these things?
We can.
Well, we're going to need some cages.
I've got nets.
I think we're going to need some cages. Something big.
Well, can we carry them around with us?
They only at the visitor center. They've only got like one more, like a cage that has the dimensions of 4x4x4. Outside of that, you're dealing with things the size of like a raccoon trap, which for a woodpecker or a Kauai that's fine. For an auk, bit of a tight fit.
How about a local bird farm? Do we have any
local bird farm?
Cockatoos?
Looking it up, there are no local bird farms here.
Bird farms. You could order stuff on Amazon, but it wouldn't be here for a few days.
Well, do we have any tranquilizers? Instead of maybe shooting these birds with the bird shot, we might fill them up with some sleeping medication.
That's hard. It's really hard to tell what the dosage would be.
Too much dosage and they'll go into a coma and die.
And birds are a lot smaller than they look when you're looking at them because they're mostly fluff and feathers and then they're little body.
Because it's usually based on weight, but
yeah. Actually, something I didn't mention, but I was going to do it when I was looking at the birds. They didn't by chance have rings on their ankles.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So they aren't farmed.
That's a good thought. Like, would there be like radio trackers, perhaps?
Yeah, I'll bring some radio trackers. Something I can clamp on their legs if we catch one and let it go, see where it's going. Maybe we should do that with these.
Yeah. What about the captive ones? Set some of them free.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, we should definitely get all the photographic evidence and stuff for what we've got here. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Besides, we should let them go anyways. If they could take us to their flocks.
It could.
I don't think
Yeah.
either one of them is in solitary. Well, the pet woodpecker tends to be more solitary, but yeah,
Yeah, but
that's not bad.
Nunez was saying that they came together as a flock in order to attack that snake. So
We could find the flock. That will take me a couple of days to put together because I just don't have the equipment. I wasn't planning on tracking birds. Let's go see the Dixon guy.
Okay, so as a group, after spending some time at the visitor center before examining the birds or messing around with them further, we head off to Fisherman's Cove. Nunez gave you Ted's address. This seaside trailer park on the outskirts of Everglades City. It's not horrible, but it's still not a nice place. It's fairly trashy. And as you're going through, there's not too many people out on the streets. There is mobile homes, RVs, littering the dozens of lots, a small office near the entrance with a tacky sun-bleached Marie display on the storefront. There's a couple kids playing outside in the streets, and far, far down the way from when you finally come up on Ted's trailer, you could see a shirtless man in dirty jeans smoking something out of a light bulb. But Ted's trailer itself is modest, small, and all the curtains are drawn.
I'll walk right up and bang on the door.
Duh, duh, duh,
What's
duh,
his
duh.
what's his last name? Dixon?
Dixon.
Yeah, looking for Teddy Dix.
Mr. Dixon. Are you
Duh,
there?
duh, 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 duh. No response.
well, go ahead and try the doorknob. See if it's open.
Is there a car? I'll try the doorknob.
The doorknob doesn't budge. It looks like it is, in fact, locked. But there is not a car in the driveway.
So maybe he's not here right now. Let's walk around the property.
So, looking around it, it's pretty close to the a small swampy creek that eventually connects to the primary marshes and the ocean. You're wary about getting too close to the thick grasses and the sunny rocks near it, just because there could be cottonmouths or all sorts of horrible things in that water. But you circle around it. There's only the front door. Every single window or other means to look inside is somehow covered. And all of you can give me, well, since you're looking around it and primarily looking for things, I think I'd actually call this search. So roll search.
96. No.
Success.
85 failure.
Okay. Harpo,
I
when
got it.
you're circling around the back, right when you're turning around the corner, when you get that very small angle on a window, when you're viewing it from the side and have a slight glimpse in, corner of the window frame has a little bit of dried blood.
Oh, there's a bit of dry blood up there.
Also, the kids down the street playing around with a ball seem to be occasionally glancing and giggling at you guys.
I may
The guy smoking out of a light bulb is now like jittering and like walking in circles around his property.
I'm gonna go ask the kids. I'm not dressed as a ranger. I'm just because I'm just dressed as me, and just the guy that lives over here. Has he been? Have you seen him around?
Creepy Ted?
Yeah.
Ted ain't been around in a while.
See,
He left.
What is it? Oh, he left. What's he drive?
A truck?
So he's been gone for how long?
The kids, a young boy and a girl, maybe twins. They look similar enough and have a similar enough age. They just look at each other. Months? It's
Month.
Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
Has anyone else come around?
Is he friends with anybody that you know?
Creepy Ted stayed by himself.
Creepy Ted.
You
All right.
Yeah,
You
fun.
kids have fun. Stay away from the snakes.
Give them $2.
Jittery guy down the street is now smashing some random wooden planks he's left outside.
Yeah. I'm gonna give them a few dollars and send them on their way.
The kid, as you give the money, they're like, "Wow, thanks, sir," and then just.
Did you say there was only one door in? There's not a back door.
Just that front door. There's I mean, it's not a big trailer.
All right.
Trailer doors aren't that strong. We can give it a little nudge.
It's one of those doors where you can see a lock is outside, and that if any of you know how to pick locks, you could attempt that as well. Or you could just do the old ram the shoulder into it method.
I was thinking just ram the shoulder into it.
Okay. If you want to do that, Blank, just give me a strength.
Well, he doesn't have it booby trapped. He is a loner.
That is a success.
Okay.
26 out of 65.
You go right up to that door, shove your shoulder. It's easy. You have breached doors way more difficult than this in your time within the military. Going inside, what immediately strikes you is a scent of like nasty, foul, dried blood. As inside, the interior of this trailer is covered all over in long dried handprints, stains, and fragmented sentences smeared in what looks like blood. Most of it looks, at just a glance, looks like total gibberish, though whispers are frequently mentioned. Flytrap or anyone else that has a biology score of 60% or more can immediately tell this is not human blood. It is alligator blood.
What's that alligator blood? That's weird. Do we know any rituals or voodoo or anything that have to do with alligator blood?
You can give me an occult roll, and since occult starts at 10%, anyone can try this.
I've actually got 30. I got 72, so I don't know.
34 out of 10.
Nope. You have no jack shit about the significance of alligator blood.
Is there any writing or anything, or is it just
so there are sentences that are like smeared in blood and like within it, but it's going to take like a little bit of time to like try and search and decipher. If you want to try and decipher them, you can give me a search roll. Though otherwise, other than these sentences and everything smeared everywhere, the trailer is pretty barren, except for a small bookshelf stuffed with reading material, and the bookshelf does not have blood smeared on it.
What type of stuff is in the bookshelf?
Most of the titles relate to nature or environmentalism, but a lot of them concern radical action in the name of the environment. Examples include the Unabomber's Manifesto of the Industrial Revolution and its consequences, anti-natalism, talking about like humanity would be better off if we stopped having babies and all died and left the earth to its own means, and anarcho-primitivism, a ideology that blames technology for the downfall of humanity, that we should all live like cavemen. There are also various books concerning birds and a particularly thick history book concerning the Seminole Wars.
Seminole Wars. Does he have any notes that he's written in any of these books?
Which book do you want to flip through?
I just kind of want to scan through. I'll pick up some at random and just kind of skim through to see if he's put any notes in anything.
Okay, so while you're skimming through the books looking for notes, it sounds like some of you want to try and see if you could decipher some sentences. So if you're not Blank, you can roll search.
I'm copying stuff down into my notebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not able to decipher any of it.
Okay.
I'm just going to search around. I'm not going to worry about the language. I'm just going to search around the trailer, see if there's anything else.
Sure, by all means. Regardless, we're encapsulating this with a search roll.
I'll take photographs as well.
Oh, well, I pass. That's a 4.
Any other successes?
Yes,
No? Okay.
I passed.
So, though Flytrap and Bats are having trouble deciphering the mess, Hatton and, or rather Harpo and Fox do manage to decipher some excerpts.
The words say, "Foolish humans ruin everything. Whispers, whispers. I hear them. I hear them. My beauties, they will fly again. The hundreds of islands all this time. I can't take it anymore. I must return to the whispering glade."
Meanwhile, Blank is flipping through these books, and flipping through most of them, you're not seeing that many annotations, some occasional underlined stuff, especially in like the Unabomber manifesto and stuff. There's certain passages just talking about like Kaczynski was brilliant and stuff like that. But eventually, over the course of these few minutes of just flipping through stuff, you notice that in the Seminole history book, considering the Seminole Wars, there is a very heavy dog ear on a page, and opening up to the page where the dog ear is, there is an underlined passage.
In 1857, a small U.S. Army scout patrol went into the Everglades in hopes of finding hidden Seminole encampments. Instead, only a single maddened survivor returned, Corporal Josiah Ross. Raving of whispers in his head, Ross claimed that they found no Seminoles, but he and his 3 compatriots instead found a set of standing stones in a glade deep within a maze of coastal mangrove forest on the Gulf of Mexico. He and another soldier, Private Jethro Pimer, were bombarded with horrible whispers in the presence of the stones, whispers that went into their heads and never went away. The other 2 soldiers were unfazed, but suddenly burnt to nothing but bones by a crazed Spaniard shaman that spoke in unintelligible tongues. Ross and Pimer fled, but Pimer didn't survive the trip back through the swamps. Few believed his crazy story and assumed he had gone mad, with swamp fever throwing him into the care of a church until he committed suicide in 1859. The few attempts made to find said stones of Spaniard yielded nothing. Huh. Whispers. He mentions whispers here. Didn't you say something about whispers and some of the crazy rantings on the walls?
Yes, there's a whispering glade. He must return. Are there any maps around here?
No.
Shoot.
In fact, outside of the blood smeared everywhere at the bookshelf, this place is notably Spartan and lacking in personal belongings.
How did Dixon find the place where where these standing stones were at? And there's no personal diaries or anything like hidden under a bed or anywhere like that.
Yeah.
Nope.
He must have just come across them accidentally.
Well, he's got a boat someplace. He's got to. We could probably find where he harbored it.
Yeah, and nobody finds some strange stones out in the Everglades and doesn't put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Is there anything like we can do a search on the internet about any sightings of these stones that might be more
What do you reckon this reference, the hundreds of islands all this time? Does that mean anything?
Well, we're in the 100 islands, right? That's the name of the region.
The 10,000 islands. It's in this region. I said I got a boat dock someplace. Maybe he talks to somebody.
Harpo, you are a particular local. You would know that despite the name of 10,000 islands, the number of them is actually in the hundreds.
And probably uncounted. They probably change too.
Yeah.
depending on the season.
disappear. Yeah.
How high the water actually is with the tides.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, the Seminole people, my ancestral grandmother was Seminole, so I know a little of the language, but they could be anywhere. They could be anywhere. We could, obviously, they're going to be kind of near here.
Right.
Maybe there's natural, if we get on the water and just follow the natural rivulets and so forth between the mangroves, we might get lucky.
That's
I forgot to post this earlier, but if you guys want to look at an actual map of the area, that is a National Park Service resource. You can zoom in, and if you go into the northwest, you can see Everglades City, the Gulf Coast, and the 10,000 Islands if you want to see the geographic layout.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think he's got it. He's got a boat. He kept it someplace. There's probably other at the harbor. There's other, but he's buying gas. He's talking to people. He's getting equipment. He might have talked to someone about seeing these stones.
I don't know that this guy looking at this setup here, that he had that kind of money, might have a rowboat.
I don't know. You can get you can only get so far with that rowboat.
There were also among the books of the shelf very many books that condoned the ideology of anti-materialism.
Well, maybe we can check around to see if there's any rumors of crazy Spaniards.
You know what? If I were him, if I were living here, and I had done some exploring out into the glades and found something, I would mark the trees on the way back so that I could find it again pretty easily. I wonder if we just need to get out there and look. We might find his marks all over the trees going in the direction we need to go. Otherwise, how would he find it every time?
But we don't even know which to go north, to go south. We don't know which direction at all to start. I've been out there. I know it's a needle in a haystack.
Wait a second. We got that crazy guy that's around here. I know it's a long shot, but it said that people started going a little nuts when they went out to this place. Is it possible that this guy out here might be a friend of his?
I think that man was smoking methamphetamines.
Anyone with any score of pharmacy knows that meth is commonly smoked out of a light bulb.
Doesn't mean he's not a friend of his.
Well, Flytrap, you're a scientist. Do you have any experience in forensics? Because this trailer is a crime scene. Like, look at all this blood. Could you determine if this is from an animal, from one person, from multiple persons?
The smell of it, the look of it, I'd say crocodile, alligator, blood.
Yeah, but I mean,
obviously done by a
handprints and stuff.
madman.
He's doing like arts and crafts with it.
Well, the Seminoles sometimes made left handprints on things.
Yeah,
I'm having a weird feeling that if we maybe not too far from here, I mean, we're right up against the glades, aren't we? Right?
So if you look yes, if you go immediately east there, you are heading up into the glades proper. However, all of these sightings involving the Gulf Coast and that's in the ocean to the west.
Well, so where is he keeping this blood? I mean, does he have dead gator bodies laying around?
That could be a dead kid. We could look around. See if
is there a
gator.
fridge in here? Let's see if there's anything in storage.
Yeah, there's a fridge. Severed gator head and gator tail drained of blood.
All right, cool.
In fact, actually, though it's been in this fridge, which does have the power on, it looks old and rotten. In fact, if any of you have a good forensic score, which surely one of you does, even if not, I'd be willing to say that biology can write it, and that this was months ago.
It checks out with what those kids said.
Yeah, like this is, at this point, it probably looks more just like a rotten skull with nasty flesh on it, but you can still tell it's gator.
This guy's gone mad. He's worshiping the Unabomber. Either yeah, he's made some kind of shack for himself out in the wilderness, or he just ran off and died.
I mean, I don't know what to do at this point, except that we can go to the site where the sightings were of these animals.
Yeah, I like the
you know what?
tracking idea. Like, we just need to follow one.
Let's spend a couple of hours, though, going through this guy's entire house, looking for a note or a map or a drawing or something that he would need. Well, he might have taken it with him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a pretty small place. It only takes me and maybe one other person.
You guys feel really confident that you've already scanned any possible hiding place here. There's no loose floorboards or hidden panels or anything like that.
Well, like I said, I'm going down to the dock. He's got to be buying supplies. He's out in the swamp.
If not, like
one direction, we can maybe somebody.
Yeah. Maybe he loaded up a month ago or whatever.
Right,
because it's been a while. Like, yeah, see, there's only one supply depot in this little village, right?
Yeah.
It's probably a couple on the coast, just because of it being such a big tourist thing that naturally people are going to compete with each other for
But it won't be hard to go ask
tourists.
And then maybe we can find where he kept the boat.
Yeah, I got to track this guy.
I want to see if I could look it up on the internet, maybe from my own knowledge in Seminole, if there's what the Whispering Glade would be, and see if there's a place that's actually named that.
So looking up the information, I'm just going to have you roll that Seminole skill we talked about before for the language itself. I think we said it'd be at a 50. So let's just see if you find anything.
I got a 008, which is just a rate.
Okay. So you, in your time looking through it, though there's nothing in the typical myth cycles. There are occasional reports of there being a legend of a set of stones that would take over the minds of men to guard them. Apparently associated with like a fertility goddess or something. And also in the process, no indication of area. No, other than it just being somewhere near the Everglades. You would also note in the process that I'll loop this in with the alligator blood, and that in many Native American cultures, alligator blood can symbolize change or rebirth.
Well, he left a car someplace. So that's where it's going to be, the dock. So we've traced his car. He's got a truck. It's going to be easy to find.
Hey, kids, what kind of car did he have?
He had a truck. They weren't very.
Already asked that. They just said
color.
Truck.
Color. Now, is it red?
You want to go back outside and find the kids?
Yeah, I mean, I was
easier than the kids would be. We could just pull up his registration.
Yeah. Yeah, gets his license plate and everything.
You do have his address as well as his legal name. And a bit, I mean, in the process of Julian looking him up, you got a little bit about his employment history as well. So, I mean, we've got government access to databases here. You'd say that you would be able to get up his registration and see it's a nice generic red Ford F-150.
Yes.
And you get the license plate number.
Red Ford.
Yeah, now I say the docks because
sure,
you might find his car parked right there.
Right.
And indeed, going to the docks, there's a lot of cars parked there, but eventually you do find a car matching that description. Parked in a long-term parking area. And it looks like it has not been touched in a while.
There you boys go. I'm gonna go see if there's a I don't know, harbor master, somebody who's
Yeah, there's a
track,
harbor
you know.
master or marina office,
Marina.
or
Yeah,
some kind of administration area.
just go
But yeah,
ask them.
there's a salty captain in there. What can I do for you?
I'm looking for this Theodore Dixon. He's got a. Where does he keep his boat?
Oh, Ted. Ted ain't
Yeah.
been by in months. Around the new year, he took his canoe, and well, to be honest, we ain't seen him since. But good riddance, if you ask me. He was weird.
So he just got a canoe.
Well, you see, he used to have a nice and a newer canoe. You know, he would always talk about how it was good for exercise and staying fit. But he had some really weird politics. You know, he'd always blame everything on modern society. And one day he up and got rid of his old boat, and he had his own hand carved homemade version. But it was seaworthy. But that's what he sailed out on.
Did he tell you where he was headed? I mean, do you have some
Listen,
supplies
wherever
with
he's
him?
headed
Did he-
now, I'm sure he's in a better place. And to be honest, I don't think anyone here misses him. Maybe Nunez, though. They were always close.
Well, he left everything. He's left his trailer. He's left his car out in the parking lot. I'm
I don't know.
planning on coming back, huh?
I mean, you know, I didn't really pry too much, but it certainly seemed like he was really gearing up to just go out in the woods. And
Did you by chance see which direction he went when he left? Were you here? Did you see it?
well, sure, he was heading west towards the 10,000 Islands.
That's
And
not a
he's in
good
a
place to get
dugout.
stuck. Yeah, in
Yeah.
a dugout. Yeah.
He's not going. Well, I mean, he can make it as far, for a bit in a dugout, but
Well, who knows? He might have been taking supplies out there for some time, has himself a little, lean-to that he's living in.
right. I mean, there's a lot of tour boats going through. There's a lot of fishermen. Maybe somebody saw him. You see somebody in a dugout,
But he's been gone for a month,
local, but
He's been
maybe
gone
they
for
saw him.
6 months.
for
Oh,
6 months.
6
Wow.
months.
But maybe they
It's
saw
June.
where he kind of goes.
If he's out there, then I mean, not even getting people to try to remember if they saw somebody 6 months ago.
Well, I think Ted probably stands out enough. Plus, he's in a dugout. You don't see a dugout often.
Well, gentlemen,
That's-
don't you remember Nunez seemed a little smitten with Dixon when we were talking with him earlier?
Well, he's friends with him.
I wonder
Maybe
if he
he
knows
knows.
a little more about his current whereabouts.
I bet you he knows more than he's telling us.
I'm certain of that. Should go
You
rough
know
him
what?
up?
What if we play up the concern for Dixon? And, like you say, if he's a little smitten with Dixon, maybe he'll become concerned.
Well, we got the angle of
Looking.
there was all that blood in his trailer.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't say anything to us about him going missing, right? If they were friends, he definitely would have known.
Yeah, in fact, he specifically said that he lives at Fisherman's Cove.
Yeah.
He's been gone for 6 months. I mean, come on.
That's definitely worth telling us.
Let's make sure we're not on the verge of a crime scene. What if Nunez killed him and he's lying through his teeth?
Yeah, I mean, we could act surprised. We could go tell Nunez, hey, he wasn't home, and see what he says.
Tell him that it seems like somebody broke into his house. There's blood all over the place.
Yeah, I like that.
Pop the lock right off. Must have used their shoulder to smash open.
Those
Yeah.
horrible vandals.
And if he has any idea where he might have gone, I bet you he does.
So am I hearing that as a group, you want to head back to the visitor center to try and pump Nunez for more information?
Or trick him into revealing something. We could shadow him and see where he goes.
Okay. You
What
guys
do you
roll
guys-
up.
Well, I'm asking them what
Correct.
they want to do.
I like
I definitely think Nunez has got more information to give us. Whether he
I
wants
think,
to or not is a
play
different
dumb
story.
first. Let him kind of build his own trap. Interrogation tactics. We don't put our cards on the table until we see what he's going to say.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? There's a way to do that. If we indicate to him that something's wrong, okay, let's assume first that he's friends with Dixon, good friends. And we indicate to him that somebody's broken into his trailer and that there's blood all over the place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If he immediately runs to find his friend, then we know that he's not really involved. If, on the other hand, he completely just doesn't react to what we've said, then he murdered his friend.
There's a lot to tell whether he's surprised or not.
Yeah. Of course, it's not a murder investigation. We want to find out where the fucking birds came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we should do something like that. We should play a game with Mooney and see if we can get him to
let's do
reveal
it.
shit.
Okay, so head back to the visitor center. We're getting into the more early afternoon phase around like 1 p.m. by now. But the visitor center is still open and going in. Nunez is still there. Oh, you're back. How was Ted? Because I'm pretty sure you guys mentioned you were going to pay him a visit to him.
Well, we're kind of distressed. We got there and somebody had broken into his place, and there is blood all over the place.
His eyes widen up. What? There's blood all over the place, and he wasn't
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, when
Looks
was
like
the
he
last,
hadn't been there in a long time.
What?
when was the last time you'd seen him?
I could have sworn I just saw him and he suddenly holds his head. It was just a month ago. And those of you with a human score of 30% or higher can immediately tell that there is like genuine distress with him here. And this is surprising to him.
Where did you last see him?
I remember speaking to him, but I think I paid him a visit. And while he's saying this, though obviously he's stuttering and there's that moment where it looks like he's having trouble recalling. What you're sensing is not lying. It's more like he's struggling to remember. Yeah, I paid him a visit and just, asked how he was doing. And we talked for a little bit, just a few minutes. He didn't want me to come in. Ted wasn't really the biggest fan of extended social interactions. And then I just went on my day. But he's gone and there's blood everywhere. What happened?
We don't know.
What the fuck?
Do you know, did he have a boat or?
Yeah. Ted was a big, he really liked canoeing and kayaking. He would always, it was funny, even on patrol, he'd insist on paddling out there himself. He always had a vendetta against technology, a little bit silly if you ask me, but.
Yeah. Well, did he ever mention anything about finding any stones out in the near the islands?
Finding stones.
Yeah, standing stone, Seminole holy site or anything like that.
Seminoles weren't known to have very many standing stone holy sites. I haven't heard of anything like that.
Was there ever anything he was excited about, someplace so that he might head off to if he was in trouble and looking to kind of
Hell
get
if
away
I
from
know,
danger?
but I mean, Ted was always excited about birds. Birds are everything to him.
Yeah, it's going to be an odd question, but did it seem to you like we had a really, really short winter?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in Florida here, you really don't get much of a winter to begin with, but definitely on the short and warmer side.
Hmm. Seems like it was just Christmas the other day, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. So it's June, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah.
And there's kind of, well, he says, isn't it? There's like, he's a scratching and there's a, a very brief and passing look of confusion in his eyes. And all, just to help clarify this, I want everyone to give me dedicated human intelligence roles.
What's dedicated?
That's just me just saying, just
Oh,
actually roll human intelligence instead of me saying to just give you a
no.
freebie based on a percentage.
51 out of 40.
52 out of 60.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
lost
Fox.
time. That's
You can tell that once again, based on his body language, he seems to be as being as cooperative possible, but it's like that cognitive dissonance I mentioned before. It seems to be related to time and memories,
okay.
and like he's just like not properly recalling certain information.
Did you ever go out with him on his boat, in his canoe?
Yeah, when he'd let me, we'd go out on patrol together. I mean, he was something of a mentor to me by the time I got involved as a ranger here. That was right before he became the chief ranger. You know, Ted had been here on the Gulf Coast since the 70s. Nobody knew the area and wilderness better than him. He could you off just from the back of his hand take you to the most obscure or random geographic landmark out there.
When you say you, do you mean you? Did he take you places?
Yeah,
Like,
sure. I mean, like I said, I mean, we were on patrol together. So if we were out there, he preferred his kayak. It was a nice little, get some exercise, get your patrol in kind of thing.
yeah.
When
Well, I mean, we were talking about those standing stones. I mean, did he ever show you anything like that? Like take you in person to some weird monument?
I don't know what you're going on about. Standing stones are weird monuments, but Ted never expressed any interest in something like that, or nor have I ever been aware of anything like that existing in the Glades.
Okay.
Well, was
so
there like a old Spanish inn that the birds like nested in or something that he liked to go to?
He just shrugs. Hell if I know.
so he was here. When do you retire?
About a year ago, he turned 65, government age of retirement.
So you got his files? He wasn't a big computer guy, so I suspect he wrote everything down. You got
I have to go fishing through it, but I mean, if you really want to go through National Park Service forms, be my guest. But good luck finding anything. I mean, I've been, by all means, if you really want to. And if you want to get cracking on, he'll take you to the filing room, and you could start sifting through papers. I guess my only goal or my only question to that is like, what are you looking for specifically?
I'm looking more for maps. If he's they're going out on regular patrols. Are they keeping track of where they patrol? Is it different regions? Does he seem to be going back to a spot more regularly?
Going through his
That.
paperwork and the like,
I don't know
you
what
can
type of
see
record
that
they keep for this.
primarily within the Gulf Coast, it looks like Ted was primarily stationed around the 10,000 islands, especially the western regions farther away from Everglades City.
So if he has maps, has he got any notations on these maps? Or did he?
There are no specific notations.
All right. I
Oh,
mean,
there is a point where there's supposed to be like a file that clearly should have had a relatively recent map in it. It's not there anymore.
Well,
hand it over to one of the
when we have a moment away from Nunez, just to our team, I want to say,
I mean, you can shoo him away. He has no reason not to trust you.
Well,
guys.
yeah, when he's bored waiting for us to look through these things or whatever, just a moment when we're alone, I want to say like I mean, yeah, all this is suspicious, but just rational thought. This guy went out into the wilderness and died. I think we should refocus on the birds.
Well, we think that maybe he did something out there that allowed the birds to come into this modern time, maybe.
Yeah, sure, but
And
I mean,
if
either way,
that's-
that it's related. We'll find
But-
him if we find the
Yeah,
source.
it would be the origin of the birds coming through, right? Is that what
Exactly.
you guys are thinking? Yeah. So if we find
Problem
where
is
the birds
that-
are,
that birds can fly or
Yeah.
travel, so they could literally travel hundreds of miles in any direction.
Yeah, but I mean, tracking the bird is the only like solid idea that I think we've had. Just get one GPS tracker and set one of these things free. I really think that's all we got to go off of at this point.
well, I think it's odd that the last map there is a missing.
Yeah, but I mean,
We
not
can't
gonna find it.
Not going to find it.
Covered his tracks.
Did you look in his truck?
no, we should have.
Well, we can still do that. Now, if the auk can't fly, then most likely it'll just get eaten by an alligator before it gets anywhere.
Yeah, get one of those woodpeckers out.
Well, if they can't fly, then they should be at the closest point of origin. So if you said
That
that
is true.
they're
yeah.
coming through on something, so you look for
But-
them.
Let's start where they found the first
Right,
great
right.
auk.
'Cause that would have been the longest time ago, too.
According to Nunez, the ox first started surfacing last Wednesday, so 6 days ago.
And they caught this
So it
one.
couldn't have
they
gotten
caught-
very far.
Because
Yeah,
those
they got this one
woodpeckers
just,
were first.
Yes, the woodpeckers were first, just a couple days before that.
But they caught this one how long ago?
According to Nunez, they caught this bird, the auk, just like 3 days ago. The woodpecker was a couple days before that.
So,
Where did they
again,
find
they wouldn't have gone very far from wherever they came.
Yeah.
So,
Still a couple
according
miles
to
from the
Nunez,
swamp, though.
now throughout most of the 10,000 islands that you can see if you're looking on the National Park Service map, they are scattered all over the place. Most of the time, there's only one actual trail, and that's on Sandfly Island. And there are a couple of campsites scattered all the way out to the west, the Tiger Key and Picnic Key campsites near Gaskin Bay. That's where apparently they found the auk.
All right. Well, let's head there and see what we can find.
Okay. So
Sure, we should stop by his truck first, though, right? Before we get out of town.
I
Say
also
that
want to
again?
ask you if you guys want to closely examine the birds while you're here at the
Well,
visitor
I was
center.
sort of doing that, but they were bitey.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we could make him stop biting. We got plenty of samples.
Well, I would
Like-
hesitate to. We could try to anesthetize them, maybe. I would need something to anesthetize them with.
Well, since they've been here, they would have at least gotten like body weight and things like that. So we would be able to get a more accurate.
The medical notes and the blood work tells you like their weight.
Yeah, so we'd be able to more closely dial in the sleeping medication we gave him.
Didn't bring any sleeping medication. I mean, where do we go? We got to find a veterinarian or somebody.
This is a National Park Service ranger station. It's not out of the question for them to have tranquilizers
Okay.
here.
So we'll have to do some mathematical and chemical calculations, but we can do that.
Well,
If
Nunez,
that's a
caught him.
possibility.
How'd he catch him?
How did you catch him, Nunez?
He's not out there with a big old net, right?
No, so with the woodpecker, some environmentalists managed to catch them and then came by and wanted to hand it over to us so we could study it. But with the ox, yeah, I was out there with Ranger O'Brien and we saw it, and well, I had a tranquilizing pistol on me. I made an estimate, and it was good enough for it to sedate the bird to bring back with us.
There you go.
So if you want to sedate the birds, you can. After, a minute or within a minute after being tranquilized, they slow down and get knocked out. Which bird do you want to examine first? There is a makeshift medical lab that has been set up in that trailer where the bird cages are.
The auk, the great auk.
Okay.
I want to see what the tumor stuff was.
Yeah, so here's the disturbing thing, and you can tell this immediately as you're picking up its unconscious body to put on a slab in that part of the trailer, is that you didn't notice this before, but underneath its down, there are a lot of lumps.
I'll do some sort of biopsy, like.
Yeah, so they are definitely, doing a biopsy and looking at them. These tumor growths are cancerous. But what's also concerning is that there's this point and where after you get that sample and maybe you're looking at some others, you see a point under its feathers where poking out of the tumor is like the beginnings of a hoof. Do a sand roll.
I mean, how big is this bird?
The great auk measures about 30 inches tall, and this is like under its feathers, and it's not like a whole hoof sticking out of it, just like the beginnings of what you can clearly tell to be a hoof.
I got a success, but not a great. I mean, just a regular success.
Yeah, it's a pass, and anyone that's in this lab also will inevitably notice this, and that's freaky, right? And then you look more.
If it's mammalian,
there's another point on the skin you lift up and under the down. There's what looks like fish scales. Same bird near cancerous tumors.
This is getting a little too The Thing by John Carpenter. This seems to have morphisms of different creatures. Look here, see here and here. This is fish. This is, this is mammalian. This is insect.
That ain't natural.
Yeah, on the woodpecker as well. There's a point where there's a tumor that just literally straight up has a gland poking out of it that getting a whiff. It's like it smells like skunk.
Okay, well, I'm very disturbed. I think I need to make an executive decision and vivisect the great auk. What do its internals?
Yeah,
I mean, what are its internal organs like? Is this some sort of conglomerate thing?
Naturally, everyone, upon realizing that there is something horribly wrong with these birds, has to do this sand roll. It's nothing if you pass and one if you fail. But cutting open the auk, what's notable is the second you cut it open, its blood seems a lot more viscous and goopy than slightly more solid. Yes, I assumed you're using proper medical PPE, and everyone else is a few feet back. There is an overwhelming, not just of the smell of bird guts is accompanied by an overwhelming sweet and decaying odor coming from it. Inside, there's even more mutations on the inside. Like there's a point where there's literally the beginnings of a crab claw poking out of its heart.
This is not what we think that it is. This is. I mean, I'm just off in fantasy sci-fi shit now. This this is something that's mimicking. I don't know what the fuck this is, but it's just pretending to be.
You don't have medicine.
Christ.
No one has medicine, right?
I don't have medicine. I have forensics, but not medicine.
I have 20%.
Okay. So that's enough that I won't call for a roll. And in the process, you guys think to essentially closely under a microscope examine individual cell samples. And you can found that it looks like the very DNA of these birds is shifting between different species.
It's no wwonder they're in a bad mood. Yeah, they're
like there's traces of crab DNA in the bird. There's traces of fish DNA.
This is not different species. This is different genre, different genesis, different.
There are different kinds of cells in there for sure. Do a SAN roll, everyone.
This is another just it's impossible.
Another 0 if you pass, 1 if you fail. This is fucked.
95. I do not pass my SAN. I am terribly shaken.
How are they alive?
It's not.
Based on the way that their cancer was progressing, these birds were going to die in a matter of days. They had literally 4 days at most before that this cancer was just going to kill them.
This is some sort of bizarre genetic mutation.
So this is taking a long time, right? This is probably like an hour.
Yeah, this is probably at least tranquilizing the bird, looking at it, autopsying, examining. This is at least an hour.
So I'd like to say kind of retroactively that like Bats doesn't stick around for bird surgery. I'll just go Jimmy into that car by myself if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. So you don't have to do just because eventually the others will fill you in. We'll just keep the SAN roll results you did.
Okay.
And essentially you go out and break into the car. Now, actually, I want to ask you how you're breaking into the car.
I'm not sure what relevant skill there'd be, but
you have criminology or craft mechanic? Because otherwise your best bet is break open a window, which
I have craft
causes
mechanic.
A lot of noise.
I could go.
Especially in broad daylight.
Yeah. I mean, it could be something that we talked about a little bit. I'll bring you with me if you feel comfortable with it. Since we don't need to be there for the medical stuff, right?
I need to see this.
Yeah, we'll just come back later and get the
the Gulf Coast as well. Like this visitor center, you look on the map, it's right by the coast. So walking to where Ted's truck is not a long journey.
Yeah, you guys have fun ripping those birds apart.
Oh, also one thing that you guys would note, just being right there, if you could see this if you look on the national park map, is to literally the next lot over from the Gulf Coast Visitor Center is the Everglades Air Park, a private airport.
Right. No, I got a success on that.
Okay, so you come there. We'll say you guys have kept it on the down low as part of this success as you factoring in. There's no cameras in the area. You waited for a good opportunity. You jimmied it open. Inside of it, you're really not finding that much of note. Though you will note that there is a loaded, heavy pistol in the glove box.
Well, I'll take that for sure.
There is no map whatsoever. Not even a road map in the truck.
So, nothing in the trunk. Nothing just quick glance on
it was
seats.
It was an open,
it's
open bed. Though often a lot of those trucks do still have another secret hatch you can open up, and let's say even if you open up the hatch, all you find is a fishing rod, maybe some old rope.
Okay, yeah, pretty simple guy. So not too much of a score on that.
With that, we'll just say that everything in the truck, you've combed it, you rendezvous with everyone, you're discussing the birds, and you've reunited. And Tom, we can just do that break right now.
I was gonna ask some of the locals if the fishermen are coming in. Where are they seeing these ox? these birds?
The Auks have been in the islands of the 10,000 Islands. They have been especially seen out near like Indian Key Pass, Russell Bay, Gaskin Bay, and to the more western parts of the 10,000 Islands.
Cool. Okay. So that gives us kind of a little general area.
At least a region.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, as you guys rendezvous, and looks like you guys are probably going to prepare to start actually going into the wilderness. We'll take this bio break.
5 minutes later.
Reassembling is about 2-ish p.m.
Well, what I wanted to say before we actually left to do anything is that I'm telling the guys, we need to destroy these things, whatever they are. They are not endangered species that have disappeared. They are something else. And
there's something else.
Well, I'm not telling this to Nunez. I'm telling it
okay.
I'm telling it to my people, the Delta Green people. This is some sort of an invasion, some sort of a alien entity or germ that's mimicking, like I said, the thing.
All right, there it is. This is what I was expecting all along. Fucking birds, come on.
What do you think if a gator ate one of these things?
What if it infected it and then the gator wasn't really a gator anymore? And
I've seen that movie. It's freaky. So
I think we need to confiscate these and then take them and burn them and get rid of them.
Sure. I mean, we can use the same excuse, say we need to set them free and follow them, and then we can just fucking kill them.
Yeah, this is scary shit. I'm not sure I even wanted to breathe the same air that these things were breathing at this point.
It really shook you that bad, huh?
Okay. And I've taken photographs of all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I clearly am not understanding on the same level as you. I'm just like, yeah, gross.
Yeah.
There's a scorpion stinger in its innards. That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, you never know what's in the hamburger that you're eating either. So
I do have some knowledge of demolitions, if that's going to be helpful in disposing of these things.
Well, yeah, we don't need to blow them up. I think we need to incinerate them as best we can. But yeah, we'll tell Nunez that we need to confiscate. We need to take the birds for study.
He has no reason to question you. You are the Fish and Wildlife Service sent here to investigate these birds. So taking them for study adds up. Watch out. I mean, I saw that nasty scar that Auk gave you earlier. Just be careful while you're moving them.
Okay, suddenly my blood pressure goes.
As you remember when the Auk pecked you and drew blood.
Where's my axe? Yeah. Okay, shit. So if we're going somewhere, we need to go out first and dig a hole and pour gasoline in it, get rid of these things.
Not hard to do. You have a little bird barn fire. When it's burning, it smells like it's a similar smell you get when you're burning a lot of rotten fruit or compost.
Gross.
Shit. Now I'm going to worry about that thing on my hand.
And yeah, the flesh burns away, but a bonfire is not going to get rid of their bones, I don't think.
Well, it should kill anything biological. So
eventually all you've got are blackened and smoldered bones.
Cool. Let's go in the swamp.
Woo.
Okay.
All right, Harpo, lead the way.
Finally. Yep. load it up. We've got a couple extra tanks of or canisters of gas, some flares, and
Yeah, I want one of those shotguns. Blank, I'm guessing you're better with the rifle, right?
I
Just
can
roll
use
out
any
of that.
weapon. I can use any weapon, but yeah, the scoped one will be just fine. At 30-06.
For those that have their copies of the Agent's Handbook on them, the 30-06 scoped is a heavy rifle. Whereas the shotguns, so there are various ammunition types available for the shotgun that Kilroy gave you. You've got spread buckshot or birdshot, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it. Functionally, this is
birdshot.
the spread variety, as well as slugs and non-lethal rounds. Quote unquote non-lethal rounds, because rubber bullets still hurt like hell and can hurt you bad.
Yeah, I'll have it loaded with birdshot, but have the slugs ready in case we run into something we're not expecting.
The
If there's a
mechanical
gator.
primary difference between slugs and shot is that shot gives you a plus 20% bonus to hit no matter what. But if something has an armor rating against shot, it is double. So armor rating 3 becomes armor rating 6. Slugs don't give you that bonus to hit, but armor affects them normally.
Cool.
We should at least send a message to Kilroy. Tell him possible, well, it's all in code, but possible biological problem. Nothing of Earth that I know of could cause this.
You get a single text back. Erase.
Yeah. And I realize I might be in that erase thing. We'll see.
Do a sand roll from helplessness. Because your own paranoia is sketching yourself out.
22. Now wait, is that?
That's a crit success. There's no way. You have got a crazy high POW score. So yeah, that's a pass. You're fine. You're keeping it together. Surely you're not infected. Maybe it's not spread by that. Just because these birds have mutations doesn't mean that one biting you. And you never saw a mutation by the beak. You're fine. You're fine.
Agent Fox disinfected the wound, and he was successful, wasn't he?
You got a Band-Aid on it.
It's why
you get a 99.
Hey, he didn't get a 99. He got a 98. And there's 98. A big difference between 98 and 99.
1 point.
Yep.
So, who wants the other shotgun? Harpo's driving. Bats and Blank got the other two.
I'll take it.
Okay, you'll let Flytrap just stick to his nerd shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got that gun out of the truck if you just want a sidearm. And besides, we got the other ones as well.
Yeah, everyone
we all
has
have
medium
sidearms.
pistols. The one from Ted's truck is a heavy pistol, which medium pistols do a D10, heavies do a D12, but have slightly less range.
Well, yeah, we got tons of guns.
Oh,
we got
yeah.
a good spread.
We've got guns.
So, heading out into Chokoloskee Bay and the Gulf Coast. This is not what most people think of as the Everglades. It's not a swamp nor a river of grass, and there are no airboats here in Chokoloskee Bay or the 10,000 Islands. This is sportsman country, only traversable by water. Everything here revolves around water. Boating, fishing, sailing. There is only one hiking trail in the entire network, that being on Sandfly Island. And there are beaches, but you have to paddle across the bay to the farthest islands to reach them. Around the same place where you guys are going, where these ox sightings are. The 10,000 Islands are a labyrinth of water and mangroves. They harbor an abundance of life, and the shallows serve as nursery grounds for countless marine species. More than 200 bird species, now 203, are known to live throughout the 10,000 islands. Migratory birds use them as resting and feeding grounds, and the mangrove islands, a very key characteristic of the area, both provide shelter to the birds and anything else that might hunker into them during storms. Mangroves are good for the environment because of all the coastal protection they give. The Florida manatee and bottlenose dolphins are commonly encountered marine mammals around here. This time of year, you guys will probably see some dolphins playing, maybe a manatee swimming by with, I suppose you'd call it a pup. I'm not too familiar with manatee terminology. Mammals such as raccoons, bobcats, river otters, Florida black bears, and rarely, because they're not common at all, the Florida panther can be spotted on the mangrove islands and mainland areas, a refuge. And this is something especially relevant to you guys in that boaters should be mindful of the depth of the water, as shallows are common, and finding your way through this area of the park can be difficult. It is strongly recommended that visitors reference naval depth charts to assist them to avoid beaching in the wrong place. But
We've already kind of made a decision, but should we get on one of those boats that's flat on the bottom that has the big propeller?
No.
No, that doesn't go through this kind of area better.
Nah.
That's what he was talking about. That's more of the generic Everglades. This is more like open water,
yeah,
right?
if you wanted an airboat, that would be in typical swamps. Though there are swamps within the mangrove islands here to traverse this, like you're going through ocean.
Okay.
This is not typical Everglades environment.
Okay.
You need, like I said, there are no airboats here. This is not an environment suitable for them.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we're headed towards our
Yes.
Yeah, the west.
Yeah, heading out towards
The
Tiger Key near Gaskin Bay, where the ox were sighted. And indeed, it takes you a few hours to get out there, and so it's probably 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, only a few hours away from sunset. Here it does not take long for you to find a spot of rocky beach where there are auks squawking, walking around, doing coastal bird things, foraging, nesting.
Knowing that he came out in the dugout, Teddy, looking for, that unusual big log or something that would be pulled up onto the beach, or
here an immediate area near
keeping that
Tiger
as an eye.
Key, you don't see anything like that.
Okay.
But there are plenty of these auks.
Yeah. Well, there's the bird. Should we start blasting? Flytrap, you got any ideas? We don't want any of them getting away, right? We're gonna scare them as soon as we fire the first shot.
Geez, I don't know. I've never had to deal with this kind of a crazy ass thing before.
Could we bait them with some food, get them all in the same spot? I guess Fox, maybe you have a better idea.
Sure,
I don't know. I mean, this is way outside.
Everyone
norm.
could give me alertness rolls.
Oh, easy. 24's a pass.
Oh yeah, Pat.
You don't see any lumps under those ox feathers.
Yeah, that's what I was.
They can't fly.
Well,
Do they swim?
at this point, I just think that they're all weird.
They go into the water, they dive. That's where they hunt stuff. They are strictly coastal birds, similar to puffins.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, do we think that there are auks and some of them have been infected, or do we think that there are no auks and that these are all some sort of bizarre gelatinous mutation organism that's pretending to be auks? I'm
not as sympathetic towards the birds as you gentlemen seem to be. If you want to capture one and double check, then I guess we could waste our time with that. I was figuring we were just killing them all.
Honestly, we're Delta Green. I say kill them all.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, yeah, we can start shooting from here. Or we can try to come up with a bird trap.
I do have nets, but they're not something that can catch ox. We need if we had a big old fish net, we could throw it over them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, what do they eat? Like, if we just like rip up some fish guts, like, would it gather them?
Probably
I mean,
don't.
I guess the question is like, if we leave these alone and take care of where the source of where they came from, will these just eventually turn into a puddle of mush? And then we have no problem.
What if they turn into 50 different organisms that all start spreading out and turning into 50 more organisms? And
Can we seriously go on a duck hunt?
All of you guys, while you're standing
kill all
here,
these things?
the sky around you is suddenly plunged in darkness as a giant flock of there's so many birds flying through the sky from the northeast here that it's blocking out the setting sun, and all of you realize that a flock of passenger pigeons is going above you.
are those
Those are extinct.
passengers?
Those are extinct.
All right, we got to find this guy who's opened the door and closed the
All right.
door.
I got a bearing, right?
You got like
I know where
5
they're coming
seconds to
from.
stop me from shooting at these things.
Shoot them out.
Well, I think
Just put your-
I
kill
think
a
that's
few of
futile.
them.
That's a futile act, though.
Hey, if
exactly.
10 of them drop, we can snag one. Let Flytrap dig into it.
Well,
I-
Handler,
yeah,
I'm taking a bearing on where they came from.
yeah,
They
that's a good idea.
came northeast. of you.
Northeast.
So
yeah.
if I
Yeah,
can
head
get
that way.
water, head that way.
Let's kill the source, and then we can kill the stragglers.
Then you boys can go to town on killing these birds.
I'm gonna kill some birds.
Why is it that only species that are extinct are showing up? That's another weird thing. It
Well,
could
they're
be-
the only ones that are standing out. It could be everything's emerging.
or what's
There
his
you
name? Dixon is doing something
Yeah. Yeah.
and calling up extinct species.
We need
Yeah,
to find
'cause-
them.
Didn't you say one of his rants was about "my beauties will fly again"? So maybe he's thinking of the ones that are no longer with us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What if something is tapping into his psyche? Like I said, now we're getting to sci-fi stuff. What if an alien is tapping into his psyche and recreating things to please him? You know, something's going on. We got to stop him, whatever he's up to.
Well, we're bouncing along, going in the direction
Yeah, where
Northeast.
they're coming from.
east.
Okay.
That's taking us back into lots of islands.
So as you're heading northeast towards Gaskin Bay, I want all of you guys to give me alertness rolls.
Oh yeah, that's a
Fail.
I passed.
Fail.
Okay. Those of you that passed, as you head towards Gaskin Bay and towards Russell Key, you to the north, you see the silhouette of a large bird flying in the sky. A few miles difference, just above Russell Key. Can't get a good look at it with the naked eye.
who's got a scope or binoculars or
Yeah.
I got
Well-
a scope on my gun.
yeah.
Did we just see it for a little
Flytrap
bit?
did it first. So he takes out some binoculars. You pointed out to him, you look. Flytrap, you have such a good biology score that you're going to recognize what this thing resembles.
Well, it's bigger than an albatross.
Yeah, oh, much bigger, because this thing it looks like it's got like a 24-foot wingspan. Gigantic seagull-like bird, toothy beak, and a gigantic scorpion stinger just below like its far tail feathers. And with your biology score, you can immediately tell that this is a Pelagornis sandersi, a prehistoric pseudo-tooth bird that has been extinct for 25 million years. though the Pelagornis did not have scorpion stingers. Do a sanity roll as you see this horrifying bird monster.
Fail.
That's a one. It's a 1d6 on a failure.
So he's looking through binoculars.
Yes, he's looking through binoculars.
Can we gauge distance? Is it like miles away from us?
How much, Tom?
I lost 5.
Do you want to project that? Because otherwise you're going to flip your shit.
I'm not sure that I would be able to project something like that since this is my field of study. So, yeah, no, I'm going to flip my shit.
Okay, I think that the most logical thing between fight, flee, and freeze is that you freeze to this and you submit. You have this horrible feeling of help. It's like, oh my god, that they're plucking these birds out of time. There's a giant fucking mutated albatross, the size bigger than a pterodactyl, flying around. It's gonna fucking eat me, and you're just.
Does he say all that?
Yeah, he's rambling stuff like that.
I think, boys, I would kill that one.
Yeah, bring us in.
Shoot it.
Shoot it.
I'd shoot that.
It is from where you guys are right now, probably about a few miles to the north.
Yeah, you got to wait until it gets closer. When that thing comes this way,
tell me when to stop. As I'm getting closer.
Does anyone else, upon hearing your teammate collapse on the ground and rambling, look at it with binoculars as well, or
somebody's got to be scoping it in, right?
That's true. Blank, you do have the scope 30-06, so you probably looked up.
I had said I would take a look through the scope.
Yeah, so you do. You got it. You see it as well, and got to do the sand roll.
Oh, all right. Haven't been doing too well on those.
What this bird does is right above Russell Key, it actually swoops down and disappears into the tree line.
Oh, I'm actually okay on that.
Only one.
Going to go take some school kids.
Yeah,
they can have the school kids.
Sunset's only in like an hour and a half, by the way.
Yeah, men, are we gonna camp out here? Or are we with those things, or are we headed back?
Well, just try to get to where they're coming from.
Yeah, these things are multiplying. We've already seen 2 extinct species. Who knows what'll happen overnight?
Yeah, I'm fine staying out after dark, but I don't think we'll survive the night.
It's gonna get dark pretty quick.
Besides, we got to stop it from happening.
We didn't bring tents or anything, right? I mean, we're not prepared.
I'm willing to say that you did.
Okay.
Because some of you have a high survival score.
Yeah, I
have to do the well, what if our boat breaks down?
Okay.
I'm fine with saying that if you guys don't think that that's too much of a logical leap.
No, I had a 50 in survival, and I was prepared for.
Yeah, you specifically said that you were like that night before getting all the equipment you might need, and that has gas tanks and also
stuff like that.
You can just say it was camping stuff.
We might start seeing pteranodons next.
It's gonna be okay.
5 million years ago.
Pelagornis Sandersi? Is that what you said?
Pelagornis Sandersi.
Yeah.
So is that what island? So we just headed to that big.
It looks like it swooped into the tree line of an island that is like to the immediate west of Russell Key.
Okay. So work our way through that, keeping an eye out for a dugout.
Everyone give me I'll let you choose on this one because I can see the argument for either alertness or search. I'd even see the argument for survival because you're looking.
I'll go with survival then.
Survival. Pass.
01.
Pass.
01? Okay. So with 01 blanks, you as you approach where it went, you arrive on the edge of a lot of the islands around here aren't more so islands rather than sandbars that still have some water going into it and having little mangrove forests on this swampy land, though there are parts where the mud pokes out enough to be islands. As you get right onto that island near Russell Key, in the marshland there, in the tree line of a mangrove forest, there is a wooden dugout canoe obscured by brush, like kind of hidden aside. And with an 01, you also notice that perched and hiding in the trees nearby is that fucking Pelagornis. And because you got an 01, it hasn't immediately, like, it looks like it sees you guys, but it hasn't realized that you see it.
Are we in range?
It looks like it's you're 100 meters away. And it looks like this thing, actually, it's probably more like 50 meters away, not 100. But it looks like at any point, it's going to swoop and attack you guys.
I want to put a shot right in its eyeball then.
All right, so you can immediately act for a free turn before combat begins. With that rifle you have, it's within your range, so you can give me a firearms roll. And in fact, the fun thing is, this bird is so big, you have a 20% bonus.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I'm switching out to the slugs. Like I'm fumbling with the ammo real quick.
Okay, yeah, I'll let
Actually,
you take that as a free action, but Blink is the only one that I'm going to let actually fire a gun before we do Dex order.
It's actually good that I got the bonus because for whatever reason I rolled a 71 out of my normal 60, so at least an 80 is still a hit.
Yeah, I mean, this thing has a gigantic wingspan. So you clip the bird, roll damage. I believe that's what, 1d12 plus 2?
I'm not sure because I don't have the specifics of the 360.
I've got my, so it's just a heavy rifle stat block, and a heavy rifle does, 1d12 plus 2. So its base range is 150 meters. So,
all right, that's 10 plus 2, so that's 12.
Okay, you shoot straight through the bird, badly wounding it, and now we're going into Dex order. You took a nasty chunk out of its side, but with Dex 15, it is now its turn. It rockets out of the trees and in an instant closes the distance 50 meters to be literally right on the boat, and it's not happy that you shot it. So it's flying up to you with that giant scorpion stinger and is going to try and sting you. So Fox, Bats, and Harpo, you have to make sand rolls for seeing it now.
Oh yeah, I passed.
Woo, nice shot, Blake. Oh fuck! I've actually passed too.
If you pass, it's just one.
Yeah, it's still bad.
Now, did any of you fail? Awesome. So as it's coming to sting at you, Blake, I have to ask you this question because dodging isn't free in Delta Green. You can do nothing to preserve your next turn, or you can try to dodge or fight back and potentially save your life. Or damage.
I'm more of a person that's going to fight back.
Okay, so you can't fight back by
Marine.
Shooting, but you can whack it with the gun. And I mean, being whacked with a gun, that would hurt. So I'd be willing to say that it's like a D4 plus. You've got good strength, right? What's your strength score?
Strength is 13.
Yeah, that'd be a D4 plus 1. So roll melee weapons.
All right, melee weapons. Okay. 24 out of 50.
That's good because I rolled an 09 out of 50 and 24 beats 09. So as this bird comes up to sting you, you whack the stinger with the butt of your gun. Roll damage, 1d4 plus 1.
That is 3 plus 1 is 4.
Okay, as you do 4 damage, you badly cut its stinger, making it bleed. It looks like it's almost dead. Harpo, you're up. There's that moment, you're freezed, you're shocked, you're scared. It's suddenly right on you. What do you do?
Well, I have a very large knife on the side that I easily grab. I'm going to take that machete and take a shot at it.
All right, roll melee weapons. The bird wants to keep its turn, so it's not going to do anything.
Oh, it's a 4.
Yeah, so, I mean, if it's a success, that hits.
Success.
That does a D8, and if your strength is 13 or higher, it's plus 1.
Yeah, it's my strength is 13, so 7.
Okay, you take that machete out and you cut its head right. It's quite an effort, right? Because it's a giant bird. It had put its head down to try and now take its toothy beak to bite Blink. But as it reaches down to do it, you get that machete. And now there's a bird head on the deck. The body flops down, boom, hits the side of the boat, rocking it, and then slides into the water.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harpo.
Well, you can examine that thing.
It's
There. I'll
huge.
tell you right now that they're not acting like animals. They're acting extremely aggressive. You shot at the bird, it should have just flown away from danger, but it came right at us.
That thing wanted blood.
The funny thing about Pelagornis
Totally.
is that we actually scientifically know so little about them that their behaviors are like entirely unknown.
Yeah, but animals always have.
Yeah, I mean, but
They always-
that is true. That's just a random fun
like-
fact.
my biggest argument with Jurassic Park was T-Rex crashing through trees. What kind of animal crashes through anything?
But you guys don't crash through weeds every day. You just go out into a field and
Yeah, but
loudly
trees are not
smash
weeds.
through.
But that fucking thing had a scorpion tail.
Yeah, this
Oh
is
yeah,
not-
that's the fucked up thing. There is a 4-foot scorpion.
It's
tail
not going to act
poking
like
out.
we don't know how it's going to act.
These
so,
are bizarre mutants. Well, like I say, it's acting aggressive. It's not acting like a real animal.
Normal.
It's acting like some sort of bizarre.
like it was protecting something.
No, like
Well,
it was
that's-
made up out of somebody's brain.
In the nearby
That
area,
just made
coming
monsters.
from the tree line of the island, you guys hear the call of the Kauai Oo.
Oh, that's pretty.
Well, am I taking the boat in as close as I can?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you can. There are places that you could beach it and tie it up safely.
Somebody throw
if
that
you
head
want
out.
want to start exploring the mangrove forest on the island.
Oh, I mean, what I'm worried about, or maybe worried's the wrong word, but scorpion tail is just like so specific. What else did you find in there? A hoof and fish parts, right?
fish parts and crab parts, and it's
Okay.
mutating multiple.
There was a
bits of
rat tail
DNA.
somewhere around there too.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a little bit more diverse than I was thinking. I
You
was wondering if it
physically
was just
could
a
tell
little
from your
handful.
examination that the DNA was changing just between different things.
Yeah, and between things that are even not even remotely related.
Oh yeah, jumping animal kingdoms all over the damn place.
All right.
Or not
Well,
animal kingdoms, genuses. I'm not good
Yeah.
at those scientific
Probably
terms.
even phylums. These phylums.
let's
yeah.
go see if we can find Teddy Dix camped out here.
Well, he
I know
probably
it's a
heard the
footing.
gunshot, so
Mhm.
he might be aware of our presence at least.
Or the thing's fucking attack screech.
These things just biologically can't exist. They have to be coming out of something, out of a nightmare.
At least we can kill it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Turns out they don't work too good without their heads. I mean, actually, is that body still moving? We should-
Yeah.
No, I mean it's floating in the water, but
Okay.
and its severed head is still on the deck of your boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna
All
get
right.
that off. We're gonna get that off.
You can clearly tell that the
Yeah.
body is lumpy as well.
Oh fuck. Don't touch it. Yeah, just push it over without getting your hands on it or anything.
Well, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we'll try our best to get the thing out without touching it, but eventually you're gonna have to go over
You notice that
over
the
the
ends
edge.
around
Oh,
its
just
neck
kick it.
transitions instead of feathers into being more like reptile scales. You just probably like punt it off the boat, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Considering
taking
you
it.
guys are apprehensive about touching it.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my Remington bolt action rifle and backpack and put some gas. Put one of those canisters of gas. Carry that with me and some.
So
Some
yeah,
pairs.
the two shotgun users of Harpo and Bats, you're gonna keep yours loaded with you mentioned you wanted to stick with slugs, Bats. Is that
I think
still
so.
your
Yeah.
plan?
Now that we've seen something bigger, that's probably what I'm going to be worried about.
Okay, what about you, Harpo? Shot or slugs?
Oh, I don't have a shot. got
Oh,
They gave me a shotgun.
I'm sorry. It's Fox
But
that has the shotgun. That's my
Fox
bad.
has the-
Yeah. I'm gonna stick a shot.
Okay. The crazy thing about a shot is, that stacks with point blank range. So if you're within 3 meters of something, a firearms of 20% is suddenly 60%.
right.
Because, yeah, shotguns very deadly. Okay, so you guys can dock your boat. Do you want to look at the dugout?
I think we should.
Good. I mean, we'll pick up his tracks from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a good survival score, and indeed you will be able to notice some tracks you can follow. There is not only is it stuck within some mangrove brush, there are like mangrove branches like physically attached to the sides, and there's a little paddle hidden nearby. You guys can give me intelligent rolls to look at the exact craftsmanship. It does look crude, but
007.
definitely seaworthy. Okay, yeah, success. This was 100% made by hand with tools by a passable carpenter, passable enough that it's functional, but not very crude.
I got him here.
You wouldn't want to put more than 2 people into it, but that's what a successful intelligence roll does.
I did roll a critical failure. I don't know if that has anything to add, but...
Critical failure. You hear the sounds of a pecking woodpecker nearby, and look, and you can see that there's one of those ivory-billed woodpeckers, and it turns around, just staring at you blank. Bird flies away and into the island.
Those birds got no souls.
I'm drinking a beer.
just shotgunning one right.
Yeah. Anyone else? I'll pass around.
Oh yeah.
Enjoy it while you can.
This might be it.
This might be the end of the world.
Mm-hmm. Just like every opera.
Well, that is true. They all end this way, don't they? But then next day comes and we manage to send whatever it is back where it came from.
So you men have survived this before?
A couple times.
All right.
While following these tracks and going inland, I want you guys you can each choose to roll either botany, ecology, or survival.
I got a 33 in botany.
I got
Critical
45.
success.
34 in survival.
Beautiful. We've got some successes and a crit. So, all of you would notice that the plants around here are pretty large and the soil seems fertile, but you could confirm that some of these plants are unusually large, overgrown, and some of them seem even covered in fungi. This land is extraordinarily fertile. And as you follow these tracks, you eventually come across a clearing. And in the center is a huge, sickly, dark, and thick, overgrown, tangled mass of mangroves, like 100 feet in diameter across. And
Wow.
This patch of mangroves is so thick and dark, like you can't see through them. You'd have to just literally just hack through it.
There is something wrong here. Well, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but the level of fertility here is extremely high. Look at these plants. I've never seen a ficus benjamina growing like this, or Drosera.
And any of those plants got scorpion tails?
No, but a lot of them are poisonous. Don't eat them.
Oh,
Harpo, you did bring a can of gas with you, didn't you?
I brought a can of gas and some flares, and I got a lantern and a flashlight too. So I thought getting dark.
Well, I think we might want to throw some gasoline on this and start a
You want
fire.
to light this up?
That's going to be particularly troublesome considering you're all standing in water.
Everything
gas
is wet.
floats. Gas floats.
Starting a long-lasting fire is deceptively more difficult than you think.
Are we headed into this, or
Nearby, all of you once again hear the call of the Kawaii-o, and perched on a branch near the edge of this part of the woods, you see it singing.
I'm sorry, what are we seeing? I lost my ears
a
for a
little
second.
Songbird.
The Kawaii-o perched on a branch nearby, singing.
Well, there she is. It's a shame that she's a horrifying mutant that's going to destroy the world. Kill it.
Yeah.
are we trying to hack our way into this?
Yeah, you've got a machete. I've got a
Yeah,
machete.
yeah.
So yeah, we're starting to hack our way in.
Right. These mangroves are tough. You know, they're thick and twisting, and hacking into them, they bleed this dark and viscous sap that smells of fermented, rotting fruit. And what feels, by the time you hack through these mangroves and the like, it's dark. It's dark outside now. The sun is pretty much set, and the twilight is fading. But after over an hour of hacking through this, the low water of the marsh transitions to muddy ground as you cut through the last of the mangroves and find a clearing. Now, as soon as you get here, Flytrap and Blank feel the hairs on the back of their necks stand up and a tingling sensation. There is an overpowering odor of decay and earth in this wide, overgrown glade. The mangroves have twisted and stretched to form a thick canopy above the clearing, cloaking the area in shadow. The edges of the glade are strung up with various animal bones, corpses, and strange, occult-looking fetishes. And in the center are a set of antediluvian and faded standing stones, covered in shifting and glowing glyphs. Rotting bioluminescent mushrooms provide dim light, flickering on and off. And seeing the glade with all the strange stones within provokes a sand roll. Also, Blank and Flytrap, as soon as you comprehend this, you two are bombarded with whispers in your head. It's for you, Blank, they are unintelligible, and it's just white noise going on and on through your head. But Flytrap, you can understand the whispers. The black goat of the woods, her power runs within. It's literally whispering knowledge of the unnatural within you, and you are comprehending it. How did the sand rolls do?
I got a 19, so I'm
okay.
Cool.
So the sand rolls for just seeing the glade is just nothing if you pass, D2 on a failure. But Blank and Flytrap automatically lose 1 sanity, and Flytrap gains 1 unnatural.
I got a crit fail. I rolled 88.
Okay, that you just lose 2.
All right, so in total, I've lost 3 from that then.
Okay, which is bad, but not enough to flip your shit.
I am two away from breaking point, though.
Power of the stones, what they can contain. It's communicating to you that these stones have filled with power.
I've always been a naturalist. I love nature. I think I'm more intrigued now than I am frightened. I'm walking towards the stones.
Okay, so as soon as you step deeper into the glade, all of you are. There is this horrible. At first, you jump because it sounds like a machine gun. But running out from behind some of the standing stones are these two awful, they look like crazed, mutated feral ostriches initially, but those with a particularly good biology score, at least Flytrap would be able to notice this. Otherwise, you need at least 60% or more, or a successful roll.
Cassowaries?
No, this looks like a fucked up, starting cancerous version of a Titanus walleri, otherwise known as a terror bird.
Yeah.
And
remember when I said there were worse things than
yeah, these things only lived like about like 1 or 2 million years ago. But they are running at you, and that sound is from them clacking their beak, and it's so loud and so fast it sounds like a machine gun. So I need sandy rolls for seeing the birds from everyone, and now we're going into combat order. I posted a video in the chat. That is the closest living relative to the terror bird, and an idea of what that clicking sound sounds like that they make.
How much loss for a failure?
It's just a D4. He passes
I passed.
One. So, with that, we're going to go down the line. Harpo, you have the highest dex at 14.
I have my rifle. I'm just going to take a shot at one of those things.
Okay. Roll firearms.
Yeah. It's a success.
Yeah, roll damage. You're firing slugs, right?
No,
No. You're not one of the shotguns. Yeah,
I've got one of the heavy rifles. It's
yep. And that
1d12.
That is an armor piercing rating, which is good.
Oh, okay. Oh shoot, I don't have a D12. Is it plus 2?
Yeah, it's a D12 plus 2.
I didn't have my D12s out. 9.
Okay, you shoot that bird really bad, but though it's mortally wounded now, it gets furious and goes into a berserk frenzy. And it is now their turn. At Dex 13, bird number 1, the frenzied one, it's going to rush at the person that shot it. Harpo, would you like to preserve your next action or attempt to dodge or fight back?
I'm going to attempt to dodge this thing.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, that's right on the money.
Okay, right on the money. That's good because I rolled a success that was well under my score. So it was a total of what? It's at least a 30 you rolled, right?
No, I have a 50 in dodge.
Okay, yeah, 50 beats my 25. So you successfully dodge. Right, remember that you rolled a 50 because I think, well, no, the other bird is going to actually attack the person that stepped into the glade first. Flytrap. So Flytrap, would you like to dodge, fight back, or preserve your next action?
I think all I'm going to do is dodge. I'm going to leap to the side, but I'm really intrigued. I almost want to pet them. But yeah, I'm going to have to dodge. Otherwise, they'll hit me.
Trying to get you with its massive beak.
Yeah, I got an 89, so a fail.
I rolled a success. This is going to hurt. So, where is that dice? Oh, Jesus Christ. How many hit points do you have?
Hit points. I have 9 hit points.
I did 13 damage. So the bird runs
My
up
head.
to you and cleanly chomps your head right off. Always agent here. Do a sanity roll for against violence as you watch Flytrap get lynched.
I lost. I failed.
Fail.
That's a D4 to failure.
I
I'll
tried not
pass.
to lose my head.
If you pass, you lose 1.
You
That's
really
a check
need
mark
to get
from violence as
inside
long as
the
that
creature
doesn't
to
hit your
examine it.
breaking point. I'm sorry, Tom, but
That's
the way
cool.
the dice fall. Okay. Bats, you're up. You just watch Flytrap get fucking shish kebabbed, beheaded.
Yeah, I'm shooting that one.
All right. It's within melee range now, so within being 3 meters, you have a plus 20% bonus.
Wow. Okay, so 66 under 80.
Okay, so that's automatically 16 damage.
A lot.
Oh, no, wait, no, that's not how it works in this game. So it's 2d8 damage and you double the result. I was thinking Call of Cthulhu rules for crits.
Okay.
So 2d8 and we'll double it.
There's my There we go. An 8 and a 7. Wow. 15, 30.
Nice.
30 points of damage. Okay,
That's
so
pretty
it's
crazy.
funny. You get karmic retribution and you turn that bird's head into
Yeah.
red mist.
Dang.
Jesus Christ, 30 damage? That's
Yeah.
nuts. Awesome.
That was a lot.
Bats, you're up. Or no, I was done. Oh, you were Bats. Flytrap's dead. Blank. You dodged. So Fox.
No, I didn't do
Yes.
anything. I haven't done
Blank,
anything yet.
no, not blank.
It went after Harpo and Flytrap.
Yeah, Harpo
Yeah,
dodged.
you know what? Yep, sorry. That's me being dumb. You're up.
You're good.
Okay. I want to take a shot at those stones. I just want to shoot the stones.
Okay. The stones are a big enough target that you don't need to roll to do that.
All right.
Though I do want to ask actually before I say that, and that are you just shooting the stones or are you aiming for specific parts of them?
I'm aiming for the any markings, letterings, anything like that that's
So
on
you're
them.
shooting at the runes. Okay, with that, I will call for a roll just because that makes it a called shot. So the stones are big, but you're making a call shot, so this is just a normal firearms roll.
All right. That is 37 out of 60.
Okay, 37 out of 60. So you shoot one of the runes, and that rune, after you shoot it, you take, this is a high-powered gun with armor piercing you shoot. You do chunk that part of the stone where that rune is. That specific rune stops glowing and moving. But there's a bunch more of them.
Hope I have enough bullets.
Then, yeah. Fox, you're up.
Yes, I am going to move toward Harpo and shoot the thing that is attacking him.
Okay. You are using shot for a 20% bonus. You are also within 3 meters. That's another 20% bonus.
Okay, so that's 40%. Plus 40. Okay, wow. Boy, I needed it too. That's a 77. So that's a critical success.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
Nice.
That's the
These are
same as my shot, as I would have failed if I
Critical
didn't have the 20.
shotguns, dude. Yeah, so this is 2d8 damage that you double.
Wow.
This thing has,
16.
it was already badly wounded. And that one also gets completely gone. Harpo
Good
dodged.
shot.
So he loses this turn. But stepping out from behind one of the standing stones is a man. He's got a grayish beard. It's been tied and matted with mud and twigs, and there's little animal bones hanging off of it. He's wearing a cloak. He's got a spear and a wild look out of his eyes and just yells, "You have hurt my birds! You will not defy me and the power of the black goat of the woods!" And
We did more than hurt him. We fucked them up.
so
Those fuckers are dead.
he mutters something, and Fox, you are overcome with a burning sensation. Unfortunately, using the spell, there is not a save. I just automatically do damage. To make it fun, I'm going to have you roll the damage. You roll 1d20.
Oh, geez. I got to go after a D20.
Mhm.
The viral
Okay.
itch of Shubnagurath.
Teddy Dix, we're here to kill you
Okay.
with technology.
Okay.
Teddy Dix.
We're going to wave our cell phones in his face. I rolled a 12, which brings me to 1 hit point.
Okay,
Nice.
so you are just suddenly boils erupt all over your skin as your flesh is just burned and you fall to the ground unconscious. Ted is bleeding down his nose, breathing hard. Bats, you're up.
I'm shooting at Ted.
Okay.
Yeah, so no bonus, it's just flat firearms,
Yeah,
right?
just
Rolled
straight up
a
roll.
24 under 40 or under 60.
Okay, roll damage.
2d8,
Yep.
2 and a 7, 9 total.
You shoot buckshot, straight direct hit, riddling him with pellets, and he falls to the ground, bleeding and not moving.
Oh man. So
Fox
Harpo, wait, do either of you know
is literally entirely covered in burns, and he is on the ground. And Flytrop's decapitated corpses lying amongst the terror birds.
Yeah, Harpo, did you bring burn
Fox,
ointment?
just to determine how much mental damage this did to you by having a spell cast in you, I do want you to roll SAN, even though you're unconscious right now.
Okay. It's a pass.
All right, you lose 1 from having a horrible blackening and burning spell cast upon you.
Well,
Okay.
I've got a first aid kit. I'll see what I can do, but make sure that fucker is dead over there.
No, I mean, I think Blank was right shooting those rocks. We got to go finish it off, right?
Yeah, I also want to make sure, after seeing what he did to Fox, I agree with Harpo. Let's make sure that that SOB is dead, and I'll run over and just pull out a knife and just kind of drive it right into his eye socket.
Oh, I got an 8 on first aid.
Okay, Fox he will wake up and with 1d4 more hit points.
Oh, nice.
2.
2.
Yep, you're at 3 hit points. You regain consciousness.
You're not pretty, but you're.
Actually, I
walk.
should mention though, as combat has slowed down now, and you go over to check Blink, Ted is dead. You are still being bombarded with whispers, and automatically lose another point of sanity, as you can just feel that this glade just has an aura of power to it.
Guys, get rid of these damn stones quickly. Crazy things in my head.
Is there something like rocks around or something that we could pick up to start slamming on these things?
I'm using my
these
sidearm.
are there's 10 of these standing stones, and each one is covered in these glyphs. I mean, if you want to just break them one by one, this is going to take time.
Nah, small arms. I'm taking
just
that
the Blink
pistol back for
immediately, just
Flytrap.
because you've got a demolition score. What's immediately coming to mind is, might want to blow these up.
I do want to blow them up. We've got gasoline. We can MacGyver something together. Let's make booms.
Yeah, I've got flares. Here you go. Just do your.
Though, while you
thing.
guys are all looking at the stones and retreating from the glade a bit to get that stuff, just because you got a good look at the runes, you guys can give me. None of you have unnatural, unfortunately, but you can give me occult rolls to see if the glyphs look familiar.
No.
Nope, 31 out of 10.
62. Fail.
They're runes, all right.
There are runes that need to be destroyed. Strange things in my head. Strange things in my head.
Yeah,
We've got a lot of- Do you want
Like,
the
I've seen this
gunpowder
look
out of
before.
the? You want the
No.
gunpowder out of the bullets?
I want everything.
When
We're going
you
to make this
Alright,
go boom.
get out of the super thick mangrove patch, though the hairs on the back of your neck are still up, Blink, you don't hear the whispering anymore.
Better.
Once you put some
Still got-
distance between you and there.
Still got to get that thing to get it go exploding.
Go back to the boat to make this thing, or at least to the shore?
Wherever I can. I'm
Or
ready
you
to put something together.
Someplace dry?
I mean, I'm kind of worried about you, man. You look like you're pretty close to chewing your tongue off and pulling your hair out. Like, if you get near those things again, do you think it's going to take you out?
Oh, you know,
we
I can.
we got to get Fox back to the boat. I could stick around, get rid of the ruins. I don't know, like, because if you want to blow them up, you need to be in there. But it seems like it's hitting you hard.
Yeah, but I'm sure if whoever goes in there is going to mess with them anyway. At least I've got some idea of what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Um. I could stay here and watch you, but I mean, we really got to start getting Fox out of here, right? Like, I mean,
Oh, and it's dark.
yeah.
Should also mention that.
I mean,
The call of the Kauai O comes out from the trees.
we got to get Fox to a hospital.
Well, I can get him out. You're gonna leave the doc out there?
We just got to do it fast. Come on, Blake, let's do it.
Okay, so if you want to just to determine the quality of the bomb you get together, I want to see a demolitions roll.
All right,
You'll
demolition.
be able to get an explosion regardless. It's just how good is this explosion? You know what
All
I mean?
right, I've got 40 in demolition, so let's see how we do. That is a 13.
Okay.
Nice.
So between gunpowder, spare gasoline, proper kindling, you'll be able to rig this up. I will also note that though, since as soon as you go in, you're bombarded through by these whispers and lose another point of sanity. The other ones that don't feel a mental timer in their heads can note that partially concealed by brush, there's like a small hut with palmetto thatch over a cypress log frame near the edge of this clearing back here. And it looks like inside there's just like pelt bedding, crude tools, gathered food, stuff like that. It looks like that's where Ted was living. But you can rig up the bomb, set a timer, get the fuck out of there. As long as you do it in less than a minute, which I think you would be able to, blank only loses that additional 1 point of sanity. So as you guys get out of there, there is a kaboom. And not all of the stones are destroyed, but they're either destroyed or seriously displaced. And as this is happening, you know, there's that Kauai-o in the trees nearby singing. And as soon as the explosion happened and those stones get disrupted, you literally see it disappear in a green flash. Roll sand.
Oh, I failed.
One
Failure.
on a failure.
I failed. And I have hit my breaking point at this point.
You have hit your breaking point. That was from the unnatural. So we're going to give you a mental disorder of fugue states. You just go into a bit of a dissociative state when put under stress to do an acute episode, though I don't think that happens right now. I think disorders manifest like at your own home phase. So that's a problem Blank of the future has to deal with.
It's a future Blank problem.
Fugue states suck. But indeed, in the aftermath of this, you will find media reports of birds in captivity just suddenly disappearing, and there's no more flocks and the like. The program has some cleaning up to do, but they've dealt with worse. And that's the end of the scenario.
Cool. Once again,
Plus a whiskey for the doctor.
Yeah. So, what was going on? For decades, Theodore Dixon was a park ranger and bird conservationist in the Everglades National Park, radicalized by climate change, invasive species, and his own deepening paranoia. His patrols in the park's remote regions exposed him to the influence of these standing stones, an ancient and sacred site to Shub-Najurath, the black goat of the woods. He finally found them a couple years ago, concealed by the primeval mangroves of this glade. How the stones work is that only people with high power scores can actually perceive their whispers. If you have a power score of 13 or higher, you can hear the whispers. If you have a power score of 16 or higher, you can understand the whispers. And you start getting an unnatural knowledge and can become obsessed with the stones, learn magic from them, and become a quote unquote guardian.
Unless you get
Ted
your
had-
head cut off.
Ted had a power score of 17 and became corrupted by the Glade. This was
And I
right
had
when he had to
16.
retire. So he, though he retired, he was returning to the Glade in secret. And one of the spells he learned was a memory erasing spell, which he used whenever people would stumble upon him canoeing or something. He would just whoop. That's why what that inconsistency was in Nunez and why he didn't realize Ted had left. Nunez had run into Ted on his patrols. Ted just kept wiping his mind. But Ted, just about a week before the scenario begins, he finally understands how to operate the time gate that the stones can be used to make. Because those writings on it are Aklo. It was once it was a site built by serpent people that worshipped Shub-Niggurath. And he essentially, just in his own madness, had convinced himself that by restoring his beloved birds and like literally plucking them through time, he could, and using bird controlling magic, he could attempt his own vendetta against modern society. However, a translation error in his operation of the time gate tainted the summoned creatures with the essence of Shub-Niggurath herself, mutating and maddening the birds.
Yeah. That makes total sense. I thought maybe there was some milk of Shub-Niggurath that was.
That's
being
essentially
consumed.
what that stuff, that essence, it is the milk that they were infused with. And that's why everything smelled a bit of like that fermented fruity smell, and why the DNA was changing, because Shub-Niggurath is like a goddess of life and fertility.
Right. New life, especially mutations. So I was bitten. Had I survived, would I have been
the
slowly
bite right
mutated?
there, that's not the problem. Was what would cause you to mutate is if the Pelagornis stings you.
Ah,
That can cause you to mutate. So then you could have woken up the next day and like, oh, I've got goat hooves now.
Cool.
I would try to hide them so that they wouldn't kill me, you know.
Yeah.
Why does it sound like you're wearing high heels? No, I'm a tap dancer.
Yeah, the food don't fit you anymore.
That was really cool. Really enjoyed
Yeah.
all the scientific stuff especially was great.
I'll elaborate a bit on that more, but we should probably do the outro here.
Okay. Our players included Thomas Bailey, Kaylin McDowell, Thomas Grooms, Julian Arba, and myself, with Shem Sabin as the handler. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean, Spotify, or iTunes. If you would like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot, or you can click the Super Thanks button below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Delta Green role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.